Is that working? Cool. New camera. New Logitech. Happy Saturday. Today is Saturday, January 7th, the first official Saturday of the new year. 1 week ago, we were ushering in 2023. A little bit rocky start. 7 days in, so far so good. Things could be worse. How are you guys doing? Sorry for the lateness, but I was dealing with an issue with a customer's card, so I had to get on the other computer to do it. So let me go ahead and say hi to the chat, and then at that point, I will go ahead and bring in my wingman here. All right, so yes, happy Saturday, Hal. That dude, what's going on, man? I go to bed, love 10 things I hate about you film. Okay, I've seen that movie actually. How you doing, Protest? Oops, hold on for a second. All right, so it's me talking. William Powell, WWE have interest in Hikuleo Tamatanga from New Japan Wrestling in Japan, and do you think that Jay White will join them in WWE versus Judgment Day? I don't know. I know that they set up that loser leaves New Japan match that they got coming up. Jay White's contract is coming up soon, but there are other places he can go. And a lot of it's going to depend on one of the topics that we're going to be talking about here is who is going to even be owning WWE to even be signing these guys. I mean, is it, if Vince McMahon and the company sell, is it going to be, who's going to be running the show? And is that somebody you want to sign with? A lot of people are really positive about Triple H and how he's been running things. But at the same time, if they sell, he'll have no control. He'll have no stake to it unless he buys it. But I don't think Triple H has the financial capital to purchase WWE. I think WWE is probably going to end up being about $1.5, $2 billion company. So there are other places he could go. All those guys could go, but they could also sign with New Japan or re-sign with New Japan. One of the things about New Japan is that they let you roam and you can go into other major federations. You can go into AEW. You can go into AAA. You can go into MLW. So if you go to WWE and you don't think that you're making as much as you can, they don't really allow you for the most part. Very rare for them to allow you to do extra bookings. Whereas with New Japan, you can as long as you give them the bulk of your time, you generally will. Hold on for a second. Let me make sure this is right. And so yeah, it all depends on A, who owns it. B, what kind of counteroffer New Japan makes them. So we'll get back on that, though, because we're going to be talking some wrestling pretty soon here. How you doing, Thade? Well, you're here, but I'm going to bring you in a second. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Today's not a Midnight Express. Last night was. Hunter, William Powell. Okay, yeah, I read that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in Thade real quick. How you doing, Thade? What's going on, man?
What's up?
Were you able to get your issues fixed?
I don't know really because I didn't have a problem with it yesterday when I did a show.
Okay. So, I don't hear myself echoing yet, but let's knock on wood.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So far, so good. I don't have too much to talk about. My two main topics. I know a lot of you are not necessarily into wrestling, but I will hit on the WWE stuff because some people did bring up some questions. Not much going on in the comic book movie. Yeah, I am echoing. I'm still echoing. I can hear me. Not much going on in the comic book movie thing. I mean, we've heard some little things. All we know is that the DC slate sometime during this month is going to get released. And that it may not be a full reboot. But once again, we don't have enough information to get excited over one way or another. So I'm going to go ahead and wait. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue to. Oh, by the way, last night's episode of Midnight Express was absolutely ridiculous, by the way, guys. I jumped on randomly just to talk, and we ended up having almost 2 hours of talking serial killers. And not just talking serial killers. We were going in depth, like methods and motives.
The link.
What's up? What's up?
You should have sent me the link. I would have come in and talked. I didn't
think it was going to turn into that. What ended up happening is because of my my promo, because we're doing Project Ripper this week, Friday and Saturday, where we reenact all 5 of the Ripper murders in our plaza here, and then we invite in guests to solve the murder. And so that's the promo I had. And while I was explaining that promo, people just kept asking me questions about serial killers. And it's a field that I consider myself as somewhat of a aficionado in. So,
well, having worked for the county morgue for years and having done murder cases myself, I've got a lot of knowledge when it comes to.
Yeah, we were all over. We were talking BTK. I mean, we were talking about some obscure. All right, great question here. William Powell, should Universal buy? Yes, they're the only ones that I think would gain anything by buying WWE. Everybody mentions these big dollar companies, but they don't need WWE. Comcast and Universal are already in bed with WWE right now because of Peacock. They have access to WWE's library. And that's big money and big, it's a big deal. And the problem you're going to have if it's not Universal and it's some other thing, they lose that library. They still may have a TV deal, but it would be under someone else's negotiation power. Right now, they have the deal in place. So it makes more sense for anybody that Comcast makes sure that no one else gets it. That's what literally has to happen. Comcast, to me, out of all the companies that would buy for it, there are plenty of other companies that have money to buy it. Or maybe Apple could buy it theoretically. Hold on for a second. Nope. Okay. Apple could buy it. Amazon could buy it. Tony Khan could buy and sell WWE 3 times over, but he doesn't need it. Apple doesn't need it. Amazon doesn't need it. Comcast definitely needs it. WWE is a major part of their programming. And like I said, through Peacock, they already have access. They would lose access to all those WrestleManias, all those SummerSlams, all those pay-per-views. And that's a big deal for them. So if anybody needs to pony up, it's got to be. To me, it's a must that it's Universal, Comcast, Peacock. All right. If Universal does buy DVD, you think no. And I know, if I'm buying the company, I am, I don't see any reason to keep any of those people. And I don't know if they want to even stay, because remember, even though Vince McMahon is out, the backstop of their regime has always been the fact that they're family. I don't know if Triple H would want to stay. He would probably open up his own wrestling company, but who knows? But if I am buying Comcast, no, I want every McMahon out of there, simply because just having them there would be a problem with whoever you put in there under a power structure. You would always be butting up against the McMahon family. So it could happen, but I think that whoever bought them would, unless Comcast decides, you know what, you guys have something that works, we're going to let you do it. It could happen that way. I doubt it, but Comcast might be paying the money just to make sure everything stays status quo, because they do not want to lose WWE right now. All right, did Vince McMahon come back as owner? Well, he owns the majority of the shares no matter what. So he was just off of the board. He was no longer chairman of the board because of the whole allegation things. But what he did is he forced his way back in. He's the only one that could sign off on a sell. So he was not going to sign up on a sale as long as he was on the sidelines, because he's a majority shareholder. The company cannot be sold. Now, he wants to sell it, from what I hear, but he wants to be involved in the negotiations and everything else, which is, I guess that's fine. I mean, to me personally, I just want it sold from him. I want something that's watchable again, and it hasn't been watchable for the last quarter century, to be honest with me. Hey, how you doing, Larry? Hey, Larry, everybody's saying hi to each other. All right, just all the highs are out of the way. So yeah, basically, like I said, big wrestling geek that I am, I watch it all. I mean, I don't watch as much WWE as I watch everything else, but I do know what's going on, and I knew about this. And like I said, WWE's value isn't as high, in my belief, because back in the day when ratings, people were 6 million people a night were watching wrestling, those days are gone. You have 1.5, 2 million, in some cases 3, but the only channel that really can't afford to lose WWE is the one that currently has them. Nobody else really needs it. You know, obviously Warner Brothers has AEW, and even though AEW isn't WWE, they're a pretty big deal, and they have more of an upside because they've only been around for what 3 or 4 or 5 years than WWE, who has market saturation at this point. So TNT, TBS isn't going to need them. I don't see Amazon needing. Amazon can dive in and they're going to get actual, competitive sports like football and everything else. And Apple, has put their money towards Major League Baseball. I just can't see anybody else needing it as much as Comcast does. And they'd be bidding against themselves because no one else is going to bid. That Comcast is usually who fucks people when it comes to bidding because they drove up the price for Fox. Fox was not worth $74 billion. Fox was worth $74 billion because Comcast drove up the bidding to stick it to Disney. But in this case, Comcast would be, bidding against themselves, and Disney's not going to buy WWE. They have no use for it. So they're not going to be bidding against them. So it's just a matter of, to me, there's only one possible suitor out there that makes any sense. But, some other people could get involved. But like I said, you're basically buying, the library, and because like I said, everybody else has contracts. You're buying the library, and you're not even buying the DV deal. Because the deal with Comcast is contingent upon having WWE programming on the network. But you have Fox that carries SmackDown. I don't think Fox, like I said, I do not think Fox Sports or Disney would buy it because they just don't have, they don't need it. I mean, SmackDown barely draws now on Friday nights, and they have that. So I'd say it would be Comcast and who else, How you doing, Sean? William Powell, I think Triple H should stay because he's CEO, creative freedom, and talent relationship with him. Okay, I hear a lot of people say that, and that's fine, but as innovative and as different as Triple H may be, he still learned from within that family. He's still basically a McMahon. He married into the family, but he pretty much, he's part of the culture, in my opinion, even though he's a better part of it. He's part of what WWE has been since the late 90s. And if I'm running a company and I think it all depends. Do you think you can do better than what they're doing now? Do you think the value of the company dropping is due to those people? And if you think that you can raise the value of the company, you're probably going to bring in brand new people. And like I said, does Triple H want to work for a boss that is not a McMahon? I mean, he's been given free reign. Even when Vince comes back, he's probably going to still be Triple H as the executive. But under a new regime and under new ownership, I know if I bought WWE, they're gone. They're gone. Not to disrespect or dislike them, but if I'm going in a totally new direction, Triple H represents everything that's been WWE the last 25 years, and not all of it is good. In fact, a lot of it is not good. There's a reason why they're selling, because the company doesn't have the value that it once did. So, okay. Was WWE Network still on Peacock? Yeah. And that's why, like I said, I cannot believe that Comcast will let anybody buy WWE. If that happens, wow, that would shock the shit out of me. It could happen because we're not soothsayers. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But they have the most to lose if someone else buys up Peacock. Because then they have to basically get access from someone else, or they have to contract access out. If they go ahead and buy it, they have everything in-house. And then they can drive up their premium because you have to have premium subscriptions to watch the pay-per-views on Peacock. So if they lose that, I mean, if Amazon were to buy, Amazon gets all that. Amazon gets the library. Amazon gets the rights eventually once the Peacock contract runs out. Amazon's not going to renegotiate. They're going to immediately follow Amazon. So it has to be Comcast. I mean, if Comcast lets that slip through their hands, that's foolishness. But William, have you checked the Dark Side of the Ring? A huge WWF fan. I'm scared to watch some of it, but I'm trying to check out. Not just as a WWF fan, WWE fan, I think as a wrestling fan in general, a lot of the dirty shit happened in the WWE because of when you had a monopoly, a lot of guys just, it wasn't the fact that WWE necessarily did it to them. They did it to themselves because they didn't want to lose their spot. from 2001 all the way up to 2017, you had a lot of guys that built up a lot of health issues, and some of them died simply because once they reached the top, if you got injured, you lost your spot. So you had to keep your body there. You had to perform in pain. That's the painkillers. So a lot of the Dark Side of the Ring stuff is based on a time period where, because there was a monopoly and guys didn't have anywhere to go. Nowadays, if you could literally walk out on WWE and within 90 days walk into AEW or walk into New Japan if you wanted to, and then be in New Japan, walk back into AEW. You could go into Ring of Honor. You can go into AAA. You can wrestle all over the world. Back when a lot of the stuff that's happening with the Dark Side of the Ring, there was nowhere to go to make the type of money. So they put themselves under a lot of physical and mental pressure, and a lot of guys are going to have permanent ramifications for that. So as a wrestling fan in general, it's hard to watch.
WWE, that show, Dark Side of the Ring. I actually like that show. I've watched a few episodes of it.
Yeah, it's hard to watch because it's true. Most of it is so true. The Chris Benoit one was like, I almost couldn't sit through that. And then we know more about, listen, I will never forgive Chris Benoit for what he did to his wife and kid, but knowing the medical and scientific consequences of what his brain was, the dead spots that were in his brain, I will never forgive him, but I have a better understanding of what was going on than I did prior to Dark Side of the Ring. So I'll give them that credit. And like I said, I don't know, knock on wood again, I don't know how Ric Flair is still alive. Him and Keith Richards put whatever they possibly could through their bodies in partying hard, and those guys are probably going to live to be 300 years old. So, like other guys, like the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, Roddy Piper, all these guys just did the work on their bodies, because they could not. And once you reach the top, you just didn't want to give it up because you didn't know how long you were going to be there. Not everybody was Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan got there and stayed there. But most guys got there, came in and went out, came in. Look at the Honky Tonk Man. Once he had his little IC Intercontinental reign, he went back into obscurity doing indies. So they put their bodies through so much hell just to stay on top for as long as they can. But when you get older, respiratory system, heart starts shrinking, and these things start to kill you. And Dark Side of the Ring really, like I said, as a diehard wrestling addict, it is hard for me to watch because they're doing all this, not just for themselves. Some of these guys are doing it just to entertain us. And I'm like, is it worth it? I love wrestling, but dude, I'm okay with you not doing that extra high spot that might give you that concussion. I'm okay with that. I watched Wrestle Kingdom the other night, and there was an inverted DDT that Kenny Omega did with Will Ospreay. It was a DDT, and Will Ospreay's head hit the steel wing pros. They both came down. He fell out of the ring, and I'm sitting there, saying to myself, please move. Please move your leg. Please move your arm so I know that you're not paralyzed or worse. And then he gets back up, and they continue to do damage to each other. And I'm like, I'm part of the reason because I'm like, damn, that match was fucking amazing. But at the same time, all the guys are all ripped up and cut, and a lot of roids were going around. Steroids wasn't the biggest issue though that did the damage. It was the painkillers and the oxycodines and all that shit that fucked up your heart and messed with your central nervous system. If steroids was the only thing, I think there'd be a lot more guys alive, because a lot of the steroids that they were using then, they reconfigured them chemically to they take out the antibiotic stuff, and now they're stuff that you can buy in GNC. But painkillers is something that the danger to pain from painkillers has been consistent for like the last 50 years. So it's tough, man. Harold McMahon also owns the rights to the name of NWA. And he does not own the rights to the name NWA. He owns WCW. In WCW, it basically was dissolved to the point where it's just their library. All right. NWA is owned by Billy Corgan. In 1988, Jim Herd sold. Jim Herd and Jim Crockett sold. They went into partnership with Ted Turner, and and from 1988 on, it was WCW. So it was WCW. But what ended up happening as the partnership broke up, NWA split up and became went back to being its own thing. So NWA is not part of WCW. WCW is what Ted Turner turned his version of it in going forward. So all the titles, if you notice, all the belts changed. The only belt in WCW that didn't change was the big gold belt. It changed for a little bit when Ric Flair left the WWF with it. But when they sued and got it back, they got that. That was the WCW championship from that point on till the end of WCW. The WCW tag teams, they ended up having a tournament where they were still in partnership, but NWA held the tournament and WCW held the tournament. And I remember Dr. Death Steve Williams and Terry Gordy won those tournaments. But no, NWA, he does not own the name NWA. He owns anything that has WCW on it and WCW footage on it. That's all he owns. So, but okay, he should sell them, as people in the South know the brand. Well, like I said, NWA is, like I said, Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins owns NWA, so that belongs to him. WCW, I don't know. WCW was a much larger conglomerate after the NWA broke off of it. It pretty much mirrored what WWF was at the time. I don't know if bringing it back would do any good, especially with AEW already out there. It's no longer a regional sport. Like when I was growing up, you had the regions, you had the Midwest, you had AWA. NWA wasn't one complete faction at one time. It was several things. Mid-Atlantic Wrestling was the most powerful brand of it, and that's what Jim Herd and Crockett used to buy up all the other ones to become a solidified NWA. But the territory days are over because of the fact that back when the NWA was at its height, you couldn't watch it everywhere until it got on the Superstation. So if you were in the South, you were watching regional wrestling that wasn't being aired. Like AWA, Vern Gagne's Federation, I couldn't watch that in LA. They only had regional television rights. Nowadays, you have every major wrestling stable either has a streaming deal or they have a national television deal. So you would know. So if you're in the South, you know about every wrestling promotion. So I see what you're saying, but it's not necessary now. No. I haven't been excited about a Transformer movie since the first Transformers. They've gotten increasingly dumber and dumber with each following one, and like Bumblebee was got a step in the right direction, but I just never got into it. That first Transformers movie was amazing, but after that they just kind of like fell off. Warner can't afford them anyway. No, that is not true. You're only talking about a $1 to $3 billion company. And people need to understand that Warner Brothers is not broke. There's a difference between making cuts so that you can get a debt management plan in place and write downs, because if you don't, it drives down the value of your company and drives down your stock. They have money. Warner Brothers will spend on things that matter to them. They're not broke. And even if you didn't have a dime in your pocket, which is not true, they have billions. You have financiers, you have other people. Like when a movie is made, the studio doesn't pay for the movie. That movie's made on borrowed money. They get their cut after the dollar's made. But no, Warner Brothers is not broke. I mean, Warner Brothers doesn't need them. The only thing that would stop Warner Brothers from buying WWE is they don't need them. They have a good deal with Tony Khan. It would make no sense to bring WWE television onto their networks when they have 2 AEW shows on there already, and the third one possibly to come. Go ahead.
You said earlier about Peacock buying them is really who should buy them. I mean, if anybody.
Yeah, it's Comcast, which is Peacock and Universal, and that's it. But no, but on the off topic, people stop saying Warner Brothers is broke. They have to cut spending because they bought a $46 billion debt that wasn't theirs, but it's still dragging down the value of their dollar. So every dollar that they make, they are losing percentage on interest. So they have to do this.
Present company excluded, Plushy. I'm not meaning you exactly, but like most people don't understand how these businesses work anyway, William. It's all done by investors.
Yeah.
You know? And so you're not necessarily broke. You just have to pick and choose what you do when you're trying to consolidate, especially after a merger.
Yeah. Warner Brothers is so broke that they're about to drop $4 million on a Super Bowl commercial, even though that those plans were already in place from the previous regime. They hadn't been paid for yet. So that money's coming from the Zaslav regime. They're about to spend a whole bunch of money to promote the Flash. They will spend money on things that matter to them, and they were going to cut things that they don't deem profitable, like them cutting the animation division. They have deemed it not profitable. That doesn't mean they're broke. They just don't want to waste money. They're not in the position to waste money. Now, if they were to buy a WWE and you got with a financer and said, I know we're restructuring, I know we are cutting this, cutting that, but buying this here increases the value. It'll drive our stock up and it'll bring us revenue. Then you can go to your stockholders and say, yeah, we need to make this purchase. And then we start doing dividends and stock buybacks and everything else to make that happen. If Warner Brothers wanted WWE, and they don't, they could buy them. But they already have a federation. They already have a great deal with Tony Khan. They already have 2 shows, and with a third one to come. They already have access to Ring of Honor via Tony Khan. So they don't really need them. That's the only reason that they wouldn't buy them. But as far as them having money, they got enough to do what they they're not the little sisters of the poor. They're not clicking coupons. All right. Oops. The only saving grace for Disney is the purchase of Fox. The only saving grace for Disney in the purchase of Fox was the stake in Sky in Europe and beyond, which is worth a lot of money. Yeah, because everybody's like, well, they got the Fantastic Four and they got the X-Men. They got all the characters under their wing. Yes, I agree. That's good for them. But they paid $74 fucking billion for Deadpool and the X-Men and Fantastic Four. Even let's say every single one of those movies makes $1 billion and have 3 sequels that all make $1 billion each, right? The math, that ain't $74 billion. So yeah, and like I said, people are like, Disney can buy this, Disney can buy that. No, Disney's butthole is still swollen from $74 billion on. And remember, they just lost $4 billion. They just lost $4 billion on Disney Plus. And there's, so Disney is not this monolith. And remember, Disney's got to be careful because spending that kind of money on the entertainment industry, that is not where Disney makes their money. $38 billion a year annually is pulled in from the parks. They could shut down the movie division and they wouldn't lose any money. I mean, I know that they like to have them connected because it drives revenue to the park, but the parks is the cash cow. So I don't see them buying. I mean, Disney could buy them and have like WrestleMania theme parks, but like, I don't think WWE is there in that kind of value. If this was WWE of like the mid 90s or the early 2000s before the trash era begun, when they were worth a lot more when they first went public, I could see the attraction being there. But the value of the company in general is just not something I would throw that kind of money on unless I was Comcast. That's just my opinion. All right, did I know they would inherit WCW, ECW, TNA? No, they would not. TNA is owned by Anthem Sports, and Anthem Sports owns all of TNA's properties. TNA is an independent company. They are now called Impact Wrestling, but Impact Wrestling and TNA they own their own thing. ECW and WCW, yeah, because Paul Heyman ran that into the ground and it went bankrupt, and he took the scrappings of it. WCW, ECW, yeah. TNA, no. Anthem Sports owns TNA Impact now, and they have no plans on selling. All right, Disney purchased the Fox. May the hand of Gan be with you. How you doing, Prime? What's going on, sir? William Powell, so the WWE 2K contract stay with Universal if they buy. Yeah. And they what happened? Go ahead.
That's a video game contract, right? 2K2.
Yeah, it's the same thing what Sony does with their IPs that they own. They license them out, or they can license them within. I mean, but they would be the ones controlling that license. So if you bought WWE, okay, so that there's existing contracts for anybody else. As soon as those contracts are up, those IPs fall back to you. So that would be very, very lucrative, in that regard. And that does anything that any intellectual IPs, whether it's a WWE cartoon, a toy, a belt, WWE shop sells those belts, the kind of belts that me and Enosh have. So there's revenue to be made, not as much as it used to be, but like I said, for Comcast, I mean, I'm like, if I hear about somebody else purchasing WWE and it's not Comcast, I'm like, what? Why? What? It's got to be them. It's got to be them. It just doesn't make any sense for it to be anybody else. Unless I'm missing something. I could be missing something. Like I said, just like with the whole DC situation, there's so much shit that we'll find out that we're all going to be made to look stupid eventually. But I don't see I mean, do you see anything?
No, I don't see any reason why anybody other than Peacock should buy WWE.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's plain and simple right there. What's up, Chappie? How you doing, brother?
All right. So let's see. Yeah. I remember watching. I will never, ever, ever.
The one who fell in the ring.
Yeah. I will never forget that day. Sunday, I think May. I was in May. I forgot exactly what the actual date was, but I was watching No Way Out. I was watching.
Yeah, we saw that, and they cut out, didn't they?
Yeah, they cut out. Because he was coming in from a different camera angle, and the camera angle which he fell. Once they realized that, they stopped. Once he fell, you could see that part, but you didn't see him. You didn't actually see him, fall. There's another camera angle that caught it, but it was never public until the lawsuit. But we at home, I didn't see it on my West Coast feed. I didn't see it. And I remember, him being taken back, and then the pay-per-view came back on, and you saw Jerry the King Lawler as if he had lost his own son. And these guys because they're telling him to go on with the show because they didn't know what to do, and everybody's saying they should have canceled the show. But a lot of people were still in shock that it never happened like that in the ring before, and a lot of people were still, he wasn't pronounced dead until a little bit later in the program, and they came in and interrupted the broadcast. And I'm sitting there watching this. I'm like, oh my goodness! And the conference that Vince McMahon gave afterwards was like, I mean, that had to be his worst day. That had to be his worst day. His eyes were all bloodshot. Everybody was in shock. Owen Hart was, I mean, the Hart family in general, but Owen Hart was at the top of his career. At the time, he was still playing the Blue Blazer, which was a popular character for him. He was only 32 years old, 32, 33 years old. I mean, and to have that happen to him. And that's when I saw this football player from Buffalo, because what Owen Hart, the cause of death was blunt force trauma and heart disruption, the autopsy said, and some internal bleeding. That's exactly what that guy, because he got hit at a certain angle that it disrupted the electronic rhythm of his heart. But in Owen Hart's case, they were never able to resuscitate him. So when I'm watching that football thing, all I could think about was Owen Hart.
Yeah.
All I could think about was Owen Hart. And I'm so happy that guy is talking. He's talking. He's posting on Instagram now. I don't know if he'll ever play football again, but you know what, dude? Be a commentator, be a coach, live. I am glad you did not lose your life at 24 years old from a freak accident. Oh my God. Go ahead, man.
I said exist, man. Come on.
Yeah. All right. So I can't believe that we might see WWE not in control of the McMahons anymore. This will be the end of it. Could be not really. Be honest with you. Like I said, I grew up watching what I think is the best of WWF. It hasn't been that good the last 25. I've been watching wrestling since 1982. All right. I don't think the WWE product has been that great since then. I think there are great moments. I think there are great individuals and great performers and great performances, but as a cohesive product, it's my least favorite promotion. There's sometimes when it's just been bad. The booking has been bad, and we're right in the middle of bad booking with Roman Reigns. It's just they've ran out of ideas. I think that the reason why there is a sale to begin, I think they've run out of steam. I think they've run out of ideas. I don't think they need to get any better. So, the McMahons of mid 80s and the late 90s being I'll miss them. But the McMahons of the last 15, 20 years, that them going away ain't gonna hurt the WWE product. It'll probably improve it, in my opinion. But the name Vince McMahon has been connected to that federation since his father. And like I said, Vince McMahon deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, no matter what. Just not for anything he's done in the last 25 years. All right, James Gunn said he's already wrote 1/3 of the Untitled show as well. I don't know. He's giving me a Jeff Johns vibe. Ooh, oh fuck no! Don't please. Hey, listen, We don't compare anybody to that guy. WWE can't be that cash poor that they can't afford another writer. James Gunn is a pretty expensive writer, and they're not cash poor. People stop this. They're not cash poor. But Jeff Johns is not a filmmaker. That's the problem. You can't compare James Gunn to
Jeff Johns.
Yeah,
he should have never ever been put in this position where he had any control over films. All right, he's a great storyteller. If he has an editor that says no, you can't do this. Yes, you can do this. James Gunn is a storyteller on a cinematic level, so he's more suited for it. And he's not cheap, by the way. You're getting James Gunn at probably the most expensive you're going to get James Gunn. So that alone destroys the cash poor notion of it. But as far as once again, the only thing wrong here is we don't know what he's writing. See, and we don't know, and that's the thing. Now, if he writes some crap, I'm gonna call it crap. But if he writes something good, I like to see. But he has a leg up on Jeff Johns already, because Jeff Johns literally is a comic book writer. James Gunn is a cinematic storyteller, so it is not even in the same league. This one's for you. Currently, go ahead. Currently remembering the face of my father, reading Gwendy's Button Box trilogy, featuring Flag, maybe. Okay,
yeah, so that's actually a pretty good story.
I wish I still read. I might jump into that. I only read comic books now.
Stephen King's newest.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely not reading it then, because I'm sorry, you already know how I feel about my last incursion with him. John Collins. Vince McMahon is selling now because he can get a lot out of the stock options. If you would get rid of all the McMahons after the sale, would you? Who would you put in place? And did you say? Yeah, AEW has more upside because they're newer. What's happened with WWE is they put out a certain brand for so long that the general audience, the wrestling audience, has just become desensitized. All right. It just has become desensitized of what they're doing. Their numbers show it. Their stock is all right, but it's not like it was. And like I said, it's not the same. Where you have WWE right now is you have name brand. You have name brand, and everybody attaches the name brand and thinks the name brand means everything is going great. But if the name brand and Vince selling now because he can get a lot out of the stock options, that's not going to change. That's not going to change next year. That's not going to change the year after. He's always going to get the most out of the stock options because he owns the majority of the stock. He literally can control the stock price by owning over 50% of the product. So he could have sold that years ago at a much higher rate than he could now. He's going to get hit with capital gains taxes. So it's not like he's getting all that money, because they're going to hit they're going to hit him because his company, where his company's based at. But I mean, why, he went from wanting to hand this down to his family and wanting always to be having a McMahon to wanting to sell it. So if you would get rid of the McMahons after the sale, who would you put in place? Depends on. See, that would be up to who bought it, because there's a lot of guys that are in wrestling right now. There are hundreds of guys that are out there that that are working for other companies. There are guys that are working for WWE. There are guys that are working for New Japan. There are guys that are working for MLW. There are guys that are that are working all over the world, and there are guys that are within the company that are WWE that are not McMahon's that they could bring in a chief of operations. There's a lot of people. I would probably hire somebody from New Japan or AEW, because the transition between another major federation that already is on TV twice a week and already has pay-per-views, and that's another thing. The demand for WWE pay-per-views used to be skyrocketing high. When they went to the 12 pay-per-view a month model, and they were charging a lot, $49 to $59 $10 a month for the pay-per-view. They were when the pay-per-view was doing well, they continued to do that. And now you can get everything on Peacock. Whereas AEW, even though they don't do 12 pay-per-views a year, which I think is too many for any company to do, I'm still paying top dollar, So there's a demand out there for that product. I think that the fact that go ahead.
AEW seems to be a better group anyway. I've been kind of doing my research on it. They seem to be a better, more entertaining group anyway.
I personally think they put on better matches. They have some booking issues. They all have booking issues, but I think the matches are better. And I think they had the advantage of watching what WWE did, prior to them coming in and not making a lot of those mistakes. So, yeah, I do think AEW has more of an upside because there's more room for them to grow. Now, if you want to say which one's historically better, obviously WWE is historically better. But from where we're sitting right now, 10:17 p.m. on January 7, there's more room for growth with AEW than there is for WWE. Haven't watched WWE since July 2020. Through the clips, I see that it still seems as bad as Triple H is in charge. It's better, but once again, you can't, have things go that way for 16, 17, 18 years. It would have taken him 2 years to get that product back to where it was prior to that. All right, Daniel Martin, have you guys watched You Cannot Kill David Arquette? Pretty wild. Arquette had something going on with his brain when he went to a neurologist. I believe that. All right, Kenny Omega bores the heck out of me. Oh, St. Clinton. See, might have to ban somebody here. In the 50-plus years that I've been watching, I don't see anything special about Kenny Omega. Clinton, come on, man. Did you watch Okada and Omega? Hell, he carried Jericho in one of Jericho's best matches of his career. Did you watch Omega and Ospreay this last Wednesday? How does that bore you, dude? That almost stopped my heart. Some of the stuff that he did. And even the stuff that he's done in AEW, all of his title matches were great. He carried Rich Swann. He was an Impact champion. To each his own. I think Kenny Omega, and I think he wrestled, in my opinion, to be the best wrestler in the world. And then Will Ospreay the other night. But everybody's different. One wrestling fan to another. I still can't believe you think that way. All right, hold on. I'm still stuck with WWF. Yeah, a lot of people have been calling it that. All right, on that. Okay, here's another reading one for you. Go ahead and read that one, Thade. That one's for you.
Okay,
Still there?
Humans, awesome. I'm on a very slow reread. Oh yeah, he's talking about the Dark Tower stuff. Apparently, she's reading it. His girlfriend's reading it in Spanish, and he's reading it in English. Which interesting.
Just go ahead and skip those last 100 pages, buddy.
Only the last book.
Oh. I actually want to see NWA when Paul Orndorff, Road Warriors, George, the Animal Steel were over there at the Omni in Atlanta. Wow. How old are you, Daniel? You're in my era. How you doing? Okay, someone who watched the Beast Wars, I'm looking forward to. I guess, yeah, that makes sense. If you watch Beast Wars, you got a direct lineage to this. I just haven't been getting excited about Transformers movies since they just seem to be making them just to make them, and it's like, ugh. Vince coming back to solely sell WWE off is hilarious. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's 77. I don't think he appreciated being put on the sidelines. If you're Vince McMahon and you've been doing whatever the hell you want since forever, bought women on the side with no consequences, you're not sitting too well with somebody pushing your company that you made and forcing you out. You're not okay with that. His ego, no way in hell his ego is going to. And to be honest with you, as much as I think he's damage he's done, he's right. And if there is going to be a sale, then he should be the one to facilitate it. He owns the majority of the stock. But yeah, but that's why he's coming back. That's why he's coming back, because he had, I don't know, man. I just, like I said, it's going to be interesting if they do sell and who they sell it to. It's got to be Comcast. I mean, if it's not Comcast, what the fuck, Comcast? All right, okay, translation. That's more Dark Tower stuff. All right, let's see. Winding down Prime, hearing that there's silly rumors about the Snyderverse going to Netflix. I heard those rumors too. Like I said, they're unsubstantiated, but I had said this a couple of months ago. Why not? If you're selling off assets, and I'm not saying sell off Superman altogether, you still do your Superman with James Gunn and everything else. But if you can make money off of an IP and still carry on with that IP, why not let the greed help you? Greed is good here. Sell that off. He's already got a Zack Snyder's had a good working relationship with them. I don't think you have to charge them a lot of money for it. Let them pay for it. Let them take the liability. Under the circumstances, if you're James Gunn and Zaslav, under these circumstances, is that you are doing this to wrap it up. We're not doing it to have two universes, one outside of our control, running forever. You're buying this, purchasing the rights to tell this story, and that's it. Once that story is told, then that is it. But win-win for everybody. Warner Brothers Discovery would make cash. That's all profit for them because the production would be handled by Netflix. The financiers and financial would be happening Netflix. They would license it out for a set amount of money. Win-win for everybody. You know what I mean? But I heard that rumor. I didn't know if it was substantiated or not by anybody, but it may sound like a silly move, but why not? Why not just listen? I get tired. There's money on the table. I'm seeing too many people leave cash on the table. All right, and this to me, sell that story to somebody. They buy it, they end it, and that's it. You don't have to compete with a competing narrative on the big screen because you can say, "Oh, it's only going to go on Netflix. It's only going to go on Netflix," and then you just wrap it up. That's what I would do. But hey,
that's what makes the most logical sense to me. But
yeah,
WB doesn't have to do what makes logical sense.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, listen, this Rebel Moon and Army of the Dead and all that, these are great, and I'm glad he's doing them, but they're not Superman. They're not Batman. And I am one of those guys. You're like, well, you're not a Snyder fan if you just like this comic book stuff. I'm a fucking comic book guy. Why shouldn't I have a comic book preference? Of course, if I had a chance for Zach to make a next movie, it's going to be a comic book movie. That's why I came to that circle. That's why I started watching his movies when I saw 300 and when I saw Watchmen. I'm a comic book guy. Of course, I'm biased. I mean, I will watch Rebel Moon as soon as it comes out. I watched Army of the Dead. But if I had the choice of what movie to be made and one had to go, it's comic book from front to back. I'm a comic book guy. So I'm not, people, we will always say, well, you're not a fan. No, I just know what the fuck I like. I am a comic book guy. I'm always going to rule out any other genre before comic books if it comes to that, especially if the stuff I like from the guy is predominantly comic book stuff. And it's not knocking Rebel Moon. It's not knocking Army of the Dead. It's just my preference is comic books.
Can we just, I don't know, normalize stopping telling people that they're fans or not fans or what the fuck ever? Like, how about we just stop telling each other how to be fans? That works for me. Like, each fandom is different to each person. Sorry, it just is. If I get one more person this week tell me I'm not a good fan of something, I swear to God, somebody's getting slapped.
Yeah, what you're saying here is sort of true, but at the same time, if there's money to be made, then there's has nothing to do with the extremists or even me. If there is a transaction to be made and somebody's saying, here's this suitcase full of money for this, and Netflix can make their money off of it. Netflix should do a limited release if they want to, split the distribution fees and with Warner Brothers if they want to do it that way. Everybody wins. Everybody makes money. We don't have to do things just because a particular part of a fandom wants them. We need to be doing things because it's our job to make money. All right, that's what that's where we see. I think from business out. I'm like, what can we do to make money? That's why I think reboots are fucking stupid. Reboot basically takes the money that you have, take 3/4 of that money, and just throw it in the wind. and keep a few dollars. That's what reboots and stuff mean. That's why I don't want reboots, and that's why I think that you need to complete your Snyder storyline, not just because I want it as a Snyder fan, because as somebody who has to pay bills based on risk, that's what you should be doing, because if you complete that lineage, these new people you're bringing in, you're selling all that to them too. All right, physical media, the whole deal. Everybody's like, well, they've given their reasons why they want this back. I'm giving the only reason that really matters: money, cash, get paid, everybody. So if you restore, it's not restore the Snyderverse, it's resolve the Snyderverse, so that when you start anything else, people can take you seriously, that you can finish something. Because right now, that's the big elephant in the room when it comes to DC, Warner, or anything. Can you finish what you started? Am I about, even a general fan, am I about to get in this car with you and go on this road trip just for you to dump me out on the side of the road before you even hit the highway? But if you can consolidate and complete these things, then you could just go ahead and keep that lineage going. Go your own way, but resolve your stuff. That's business. That's money. It has nothing to do with any cult. That doesn't have nothing to do with any fandom. That is finishing what you started, because when you make a stronger line, you can continue to make money off of every demographic you bring in. A brand new guy who's never seen a DC film that's going to see James Gunn's Superman, right? Do I just want his $10 or $14 from that one movie? No, I want him buying everything that I put out the last 15 years, and I need him to have a reason to do that. But if you reboot and cut up the timeline and do all this dumb shit, you devalue your library. So that's I'm in it for I'm thinking from purely cash point of view.
And you pissed off your customer, because then they're confused, and a confused customer is not a repeat customer.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. They're cutting tons of money right now, but that's only going to be. That's not going to be forever. They're cutting tons of money because they absorbed a lot of debt. But they're doing this to put themselves into a position to spend money, because, like I said, we're going ahead with Superman movies and Batman movies and all these things. You're not doing that shit for low budget. All right, you are not doing that stuff for low budget. You are spending good money to make Superman. You are spending good money to make Batman. You are spending good money to make a Justice League or whatever the hell it is that spawns out of what he does. You are not making those movies for cheap. So they have the money to spend on things that they think can make them money. Like I said, there are companies that are in bankruptcy that are purchased other companies. There's a movie theater right now. Both of them are in bankruptcy, but one of them's trying to buy the other, because they can prove to their shareholders and their debt collectors that this will help us draw revenue at a quicker rate than what we're doing now. So they're cutting tons, but they're cutting a lot of stupid shit too. They're cutting stuff that no one is watching. I love Raised by Wolves. Love that show, right? Got canceled because it's a really expensive show and nobody was watching it. I liked Westworld, even though I think this last season of Westworld wasn't very good and they could have ended it there. But I wouldn't have cried in my beer over another season. I would watch it if I got it. I love that show, but it was immensely expensive to make and people weren't watching it. Not enough people to justify the money. That doesn't mean you're broke. That just means you're getting rid of shit that is just not making you money. You got to do it. If I got a comic on my shelf that is not making me money, I got to get rid of it. Even if I read it and I like it, if it's not making me money, it's got to go. Especially if I want to make purchases and get other merchandise in the store that I know I can make money off of, I got to cut the dead weight and cut the dead expenses. That's exactly what Warner Brothers is doing. All right, probably its advertising budget is going to be. Yeah, they're going deep. They're going deep for the Flash. All right, WB is cutting now. They're done cutting in time for business. Yeah. They even put out that statement that they're done with the write downs. Oh, it's going to be about $4 million. It's going to be about minimum $4. I remember when it was $3 million for 30 seconds, and 30 for 40 second ad. It's Super Bowl. Be about 4. Yep. It's going to be. So they got the money. I only muted you a little bit today because I was coming back real quick. So if you have anything to say, just go ahead and unmute and just jump on in whenever you want. All right. So Michael Command Jr. Hey, William, do you think that Hulu Live TV is worth the price? Depends. I still have cable because it's a write-off for me, but I like, there are 2 programs that I did try that I really, really, really liked. Hulu Live TV and YouTube TV. I thought YouTube was slightly better, but not by much. Not by much. They were like neck and neck. So what do you think, Nate, about Hulu?
Hulu Live TV is very expensive, and take it from somebody who is involved with most, if not all, of the streaming services.
How much is it? Is it $39?
$79 for the live TV portion. But that's Disney. It's Hulu Live with no commercials. Hold on, I'll bring it up and I'll read it to you what it is.
Okay, yeah, because I thought it was much cheaper than that. But quality-wise, Michael, I think they're both good. I thought personally that YouTube TV was better, but Hulu, let's hear what they'd have to say with that price. I thought it was only $39, but holy shit.
Hulu Live TV with ads, Disney Plus with ads, ESPN with ads. That's a bundle. It's $69.99 a month. Without ads, it's $82.99 a month.
What about Hulu Live just without the bundle?
Without the bundle, it's $68.99 a month.
Whoa, fuck.
Yeah.
Well, it's still cheaper than cable, Mike, because cable minimum is you got, especially if you have a broadband. Like I have that bundle. I have cable here and I have cable at my house, but like I said, I write them both off as business write-off, so it's not too bad for me. But if you're just a regular homeowner and you're wanting to cut the cord, that price, if it's, if that also, is significantly less.
A lot of people don't realize that Amazon Prime also has live TV, and so does Peacock.
Yeah. So, and I haven't gone that far with all of them, but yeah, there's Larry Kozlowski. They should make a DC world, like a Gotham area, Metropolis, etc., with various attractions, activities, and rides if they really want to make money. The only thing about that is I don't know if Warner Brothers would have to sell that to somebody else, and I don't know if they want to, because I don't think Warner Brothers ever wants to get into the parks business.
Six Flags actually does the Warner Park side of it is Six Flags. So anywhere you have a Six Flags, they're going to have DC areas and areas at the Six Flags. So they already kind of do this, Larry. I know because I've got a Six Flags over Texas, just like 30 minutes from me.
We called it Magic Mountain. It was Magic Mountain when I was a kid. The one in LA.
Yeah.
It's called Magic Mountain. Paul Heyman. Yep, I forgot about Impact Wrestling.
But they still use the Looney Tunes logos at Six Flags and DC.
All right. Warner should just sell some assets like CNN. Bezos is ready to buy. It would go a long way. I'm going to say the only reason. Well, first of all, the shareholders would never allow that to happen, because the assets you're talking about are some of the biggest names ever. They're pretty much priceless. I would lease them. And if that was what you mean, I would, like I said with the Netflix thing, I would lease Superman with conditions to Netflix in order to finish a certain story. I don't know if they want to have too many other people involved. And see, CNN Plus, all that's a news agency with a lot of dense competition. There is no, when you're talking about comic book IPs, the competition is not such to the point where you have to pull back. Just because there's an MCU, we had DC movies make plenty of money. With CNN, MSNBC, and a lot of people are just not getting their news from cable news anymore. They're getting it from the internet, which I don't think is the greatest thing. But it depends on what assets you're talking about. But the assets that would make you any significant money in order to even be worth it to do it would be the Trinity. And like I said, if I'm a stockholder, I'm going to handcuff you to your desk to make sure you and unplug your computer and take it away from you to make sure you can't do something that's silly. That's sell Blue Bleeder or something like that. How you doing, Chappie? Ooh, how far behind am I? Okay, there was a Batman exhibition at the Spy Museum in New York. Yeah, it depends on how much they want to invest into it too. All right, let's go down here. May 1999, my friend was watching it. Yep, it came on over to tell me about it. It was you were 15. How old was I in May 1999?
They still use the DC. they still use the DC licensing at Six Flags theme parks. So a lot of the rides are named after. You've got the Aquaman ride coming soon to the park down
Oh,
here.
that's right. Yeah, you're right. They should expand. I wonder how much it will cost them to go all in and something like that. It's got to be pretty expensive.
Oh, I'm sure, but hell, Six Flags still makes a shit ton of money. So I mean,
I know.
If WBD wanted to work with the Six Flags parks, they could probably push it all the way with the Looney Tunes and DC stuff at Six Flags.
Okay, how you doing, Hunter Iggy? This would be 100% bullshit if this ever fucking happens. First of all, women, you can forget about, drawing money, because the Saudis they had to negotiate for months to let women wrestle over there, and then they had to be covered up. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'd want the Saudi regime running anything American. I just don't know. I mean, now, I mean, I don't know. That would cause a lot of conflicts of interest. I'm surprised that Vince has done it as many times as he has. I know it's big money, but at the same time, when you got to tell your wrestlers, what they can and can't do after 360 some odd days of the year doing it one way, we got to do it a different way over there. I don't know. I don't know if that was and then you'd have to go. I don't even know if the FCC would even allow that, because then you'd have to go private because you have a public, a public. I don't know. I think that'd be a horrible idea for a bunch of reasons. Eddie Guerrero having a heart attack was tough to watch. Yeah, and that's what sent Chris Benoit. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on with Chris Benoit, but that was the one that really affected him. They were best buds going back to WCW. Oh, the football. Listen, I don't know if I could ever put him back on the field again. I don't know if I could ever put that guy back on the field again. He can be a coach. He can cash in on his insurance policy and get his millions that way. He can be a college coach. He can be a commentator. I mean,
I'd be afraid to put him back. I'd be afraid to put him back.
Yeah, I would be terrified. I would always be cringing, because it's not like an ankle or an ACL or a concussion. It's your heart.
No trainer worth his salt is going to put him back on the field right now.
And if I'm out there playing against him, I'm like, I don't want to hit this guy.
No.
I'm sorry, dude. I mean,
you have to make some real decisions to his career.
Yeah. It's horrible that, your career is going to be cut short, but you're 24 years old. You got some millions. Your insurance policy that every NFL player has should give you a couple more millions. You'll be able to do anything you want in Buffalo. Be a coach, be an assistant coach. You still make, some money there. Come up through the system, but don't put your life. I mean, you don't have to work for money right now. You're 24, dude. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not going to come back. I would just be terrified if I was a coach to be like, because until we know exactly, we think we know what happened, but at the same time, and he's a defensive end, you get hit. You get hit in the chest. It's part of the game.
With the damage I hate to say it, but with the damage he took, their insurance is not going to want to insure him on the field.
They won't have a choice, because it did happen on the field, and that's part of the thing. They tried to fight that before.
I'm saying further. I'm not saying for what happened to him. I'm saying
further. If he gets back on the field.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Yeah, no. Then they're going to tell the team that too. They're going to be like, no. Nope. I mean, because like I said, that was so fucking scary. And then, like I said, thousands of miles away, not a Buffalo Bills fan, but as a human being, to watch all that happen, and those guys were heroes to get him back going twice and get him to the point where he didn't even suffer any brain damage. He was, a lot of times when you don't have the respiratory system working like that, it causes the brain damage. And when they said that the lights are on and somebody was home, those doctors were saying that, I'm like,
yeah.
And I don't do a lot of praying. I'm not a religious guy, but I was praying for that guy. And I would hate to see him.
I was impressed he didn't take me hypoxia with that injury.
Yeah, I mean, no, I hope I understand what you're saying, Aaron. I just hope I hope he doesn't, because I would I would hate for him to get through all this and take another hit to the chest, and then, oh yeah, that would oh no.
Those kind of injuries are not easy to come back from, and very often
and it's just a risk. He can live a healthy life for the rest of his life, but at the same time, it's an impact sport, and your heart stopped because of an impact. Oh, Jamar, please don't do it. Make somebody pay him. If I'm Buffalo, I'm paying you your contract.
Well, I'd pay his contract, but I'd make him a coach.
Yeah, he's only coach. You're going to sit here in street clothes, and you're going to be an assistant coach. You're automatically an assistant coach now. We're going to train you as assistant coach. You're going to be the special team. You're going to make some money. But we're not putting you back on there. We're not going to put you back on there. I would be terrified to put him back on here. All right. Let's see. What's wrong with John's? Yes, Prime, you are 100% correct. Okay, he's one of the best storytellers of his generation. When he's got an editor over him, tell him no on certain things. Like, let's watch Watchmen Doomsday Clock. Telling you, that he wanted to basically do another retcon, and they stopped him. So, but even then, aside from comics, there's a difference between a cinematic storyteller and a movie maker and a comic book writer. A comic book writer should be the consultant in most cases, and that's his case. Like Joss Whedon could do both, but Jeff Johns, not everybody can. And Jeff Johns is one of the guys who's a really great comic book storyteller, but it did not translate into the organizational skills that it takes to run, a movie. Not everybody has that. And, that somebody above him should have said, this isn't working. But remember, there was bad management. Oh, Lord. Let me read this. Hold on, I'm going to mute you while I read this. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is emerging as a possible bidder. When they say Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, that's Prince Mohammed Al bin Saud. That's the prince and that's the king. That's their name for it's pretty much their slush fund. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is emerging to a possible bidder for WWE if it decides to sell, according to the front office sports. They could outbid. I guess they could outbid Comcast, but Comcast, you need to fight. Like the Beastie Boys said, you need to fight for your right to party. You're about to lose a whole bunch because then you got to deal through the Saudis. You're not even dealing with an American company anymore for stuff that's going to be on American TV. And the Saudis will take control of that revenue because they'll not only will they host the pay-per-views, they'll want the money from the pay-per-views. They would have the right to sell those TV rights to anybody else, including them. But you would be paying a whole bunch of you're going to pay more money having to be associated with WWE by not buying them. Like I said, Comcast has got a lot of money. I don't know if they can outbid a Saudi king. I hope they can because I don't know. I don't know, man. That's then the question of who would run it. Now that's what you're talking about. Who runs it under a Saudi regime? Is it an American puppet one, or is it going to be somebody from there? Being a good writer doesn't mean you know how to structure a movie. Yeah, exactly. Chappie, Jeff Johns was one of the people responsible for the disaster that was Justice League. Yeah. And to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff that he wrote that kind of got out of control for comic books from 2011 on is one of the major reasons why comic book sales aren't what they should be, because a lot of his retcons and reboots and things that he did cut the lineage off and really drove down the value of some of the stuff that was already out there. There's so many reasons you could be laughing at me right now, Larry, so I don't know which one it is. Cautionary tale of Owen Hart plus Brian Pillman, 35 years old, heart diseases or painkillers. Did they ever determine the cause of death? Brian Pillman died of an enlarged heart that was probably caused by painkillers, because once you reach your 30s, your vascular system slows down just a little bit. But when you're dealing with an enlarged heart, it doesn't, you're starting to deal with a lot of issues. Owen Hart Owen Hart died from blunt force trauma to the chest. I don't know if he was on any particular drugs or if they ever found drugs in his system. He died of blunt force trauma to the chest, and his heart stopped. Brian Pillman had done things throughout his career that caught up to him. He did a lot of stuff up in his career, and it caught up to him. But like I said, Tom Zink, a guy he partnered with, same thing. A lot of these guys in that thing, in that era. And remember, before you even see a guy like Brian Pillman on TV and some of these other guys, they're wrestling in the indies, they're wrestling in warehouses, they're wrestling in school gyms, they're busting their ass and tearing their body up at a level that you don't even see yet. By the time that they get to the TV, WWE or AEW, they've been all over the world and they've ran their bodies into the ground, and now they're going to do it on a much higher level. So the only way that they could do it during that era was the painkillers and roids. And the roids and the stuff that they were doing was so that their bodies would heal back. You know what? That's one of the main things. The steroid just doesn't give you muscle mass, but it also helps that muscle mass and back fat and all that. It helps you heal. That's why it's considered performing enhancing and drug when you talk about baseball or football, because without that, certain athletes would not even be able to take the field, even if they don't bulk up. All right, did McMahon lose a lot of capital? He did. And he's lost money too when the stock value. When you're a public company, you could wake up the next morning and the stock is like, oh shit, that took a dive. So he wants to buy it. I can understand. Congratulations to the Jags, their AFC South champions. Yeah, I was watching that game because the Raiders got destroyed earlier today. Tennessee handed that game to him. Score said, yeah, there were some people down here who downstairs at the Square Bar who had action on that game. And when that happened, you could feel that they had action on that game, because you can always tell here in Vegas when you could go to a sports book or a bar and you can tell when someone's got their fucking rent money on this game, because it's not just a missed field goal or a fumble or a 4 and out. It's their light bill. It's that car payment. And you can just see the life just leave their body, and they're like, oh, it's that collective oh shit when shit like that happens.
I've seen that before.
I mean, oh. All right, Jesse the Body Ventura could run WWE. He already has proved he has a know-how to make storylines and feuds, something Bischoff can do. WCW, yeah. Jesse, I don't know if Jesse the Body even wants to do anything, but he's something that somebody like him would be all right, maybe.
He's a politician now, man. He's
a governor. He's an ex-governor, Navy SEAL. Dude, I found out more about Jesse the Body after wrestling, that I had so much. A Navy SEAL back in the early stages of being a Navy SEAL in like Vietnam era. All right, speaking of wrestling, and we always are you guys a fan of Kaiju, Big Batel at all? Don't get to see a lot of them, but I had a friend who used to be Dr. Cube, and his real dream was that WWE had a character and finishing move, but we lost touch recently. Wow, that's even for a guy who watches Japanese wrestling. That's not an obscure one, but I know who you're talking about though. Kenny Omega is Jim Cornette's favorite wrestler. Oh, okay, all right, that's not Kenny Omega's fault that he has that knucklehead as a fan. In Jim Cornette, I grew up idolizing Jim Cornette because he could run. Other than Ric Flair, when Jim Cornette got on the mic and started running his mouth, I thought I was in church. But he's become a grumpy old man. He's become a curmudgeon. And it's like, same thing with Bischoff. I'm like, dude, just guys can't be fans anymore. William Powell, Will Ospreay wants to wrestle Seth Rollins. That'd be a good matchup. I think, obviously, we're talking about pre-stage stuff, but I think I like Seth Rollins as a performer. I just think Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. I mean, I will argue that again. And he has so many moves in his repertoire, and his style is so different that I think he would have to carry a match against anyone else. The only person I don't think he'd have to carry the match against is the one he just wrestled. It's Kenny Omega or Okada. Yeah, as far as move per move and keeping you engaged and blending that strong style and that lucha libre style, Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world. I love, win or lose, I stayed up 2-3 o'clock in the morning to watch that match. That's how much I think he's good. He's not even 30 yet. But yeah, I listen. Will Ospreay versus anybody is going to be a good match because I think Will Ospreay will bring out the best technique in Seth Rollins and about anybody. I do enjoy the ladies wrestling in WWE. You know what? That is one thing that I think they have done right. And the one thing I will give kudos to WWE about is they weren't afraid to put Charlotte, Ronda Rousey, and Becky in a main event of a WrestleMania or in a main event of a SummerSlam or pay-per-view. They were not afraid to go all out and put those matches on the same level, if not higher, as whatever was going on at that time. And in sports, that just doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen because generally your draw is your men. But, with wrestling, it's different. But even still, if you look at the other major federations, their women's stories and their women's matches at a lot of times put their other booking to shame. All right, so that is one thing that's one of the reasons why I don't completely DVR through them, because there are Alexa Bliss, I think, is immensely talented. Ronda Rousey is a good draw, but I don't think she's the best wrestler. Charlotte Flair is an excellent athlete. Becky Lynch, not recently. Ever since she's come back, I don't think she's had her edge as much. Bianca Belair, somebody that big and powerful and to be that agile. Bailey, Dakota Kai. I mean, so they're women stable, and like I said, the one thing that they've always done, at least until the last 5 or 6 years, is they weren't afraid. If there was heat on a feud, those women will be in the main event of a Raw or a pay-per-view. Everything else that they've done, I think, has pretty much been mundane and not that great. But their women's division and how they handle them, they have done a great job with that. So you're laughing at me again, Larry. What are you doing? Gen X in the building. Yeah. I remember when they were the hottest thing going back like I said, back before the product started to turn stale. Generation X and that music. Are you ready? All right, Chappie, William, and Thade. Oftentimes I wonder why was Jeff Johns and John Byrne put in charge of the heads of DC Films for them to get fired after Justice League instead of the old execs of board, because you had bad management, and you had bad management on top of bad management. You not only did you have bad management, you had AT&T bad management. So yeah,
and even more bad management.
Yeah. So there wasn't anybody competent enough above them to make the decision. So that's just a simple answer I have.
Nobody brain was in charge. So
yeah, everybody wanted to cut their checks and leave. You're making fun of me? So I'm Generation X. Yeah, I'm happy to be a Generation Xer, man. We had the best music. I feel sorry for you millennials, and what's the other one you got? The Generation Y or whatever.
Generation Whiners? No.
Yeah, well, you guys, I listened to your guys' music that you guys got coming up, dude. I had the grunge era, I had the post-punk era, I had the post-grunge era, I had the metal era, and my Generation X, I've listened to some of the best shit out there, and I'm open-minded to listening to some of the new stuff, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. You guys are coming up with some really soft stuff. So yeah, I'm a Generation Xer. Yeah, I said it. I'm a proud Generation Xer. Damn it. Stand up to any damn millennial in your playlist. And your playlist, if it's any good, it's stuff from my era.
Anything from the 40s to the 90s was good music. A little bit of the early 2000s. Everything else after that,
people like Kevin Tsuchihara and Toby Emmerich, which thank God those people are gone. Yeah, that's the answer to the previous question, by the way. You had Heckle and Jekyll running the show there. William, myself, Zach Sanders, Justice League. It's cash. It's cash. And like I said, you solve a lot of problems. You get cash, and you can show your investor, hey, not only are we cutting, but guess what? We just made some cash. And we gave them ground rules so that we don't have to worry about James Gunn having his focus of his Superman and his stuff split. We gave them the rights to do this. They pay this amount of money. We get a cut of certain things, and you get to wrap up this storyline. Netflix is paying. And Netflix could probably do it for a decent budget, because a lot of the stuff they will be purchasing is stuff that they could repurpose footage. Like how many times can I repurpose the Apocalypse Earths. I could reshoot and repurpose that a bunch of different times. So, and I know those guys would want to do it to wrap up their stuff. So I would say, hey, listen, Netflix, I'm going to sell you the rights to do 3 movies under the conditions that we're going to sell this to you. You can do whatever you want with it, but it's over after this, and it's not canon to our universe. But you're going to give us this money. Say it's $100 million, whatever. I'm just throwing a number out there, and you get to make these movies. And your merchandising deals, we get a cut. If you do a doll of this, you do a hot toy, or if you do figures Target exclusive like that, we get this amount from it. You get this amount from it. Everybody gets paid. Everybody gets paid. And then what you could do after it's all said and done, you could write into that deal that when it rotates out of Netflix, it rotates right on the HBO Max or Discovery Max, or whatever the hell they're going to call it. All right, everybody wins. Everybody gets paid. And not just satisfying whiny Snyder fans like what they call us. Forget about us. Money. All right? That sound of money is louder than anybody's desire for whining. Get that cash, man. I don't know why, that's what I do. Just do it so people shut up. No, don't do it for that reason. Do it to get paid. All right? They're in business to make money. I understand these decisions. Get paid. Don't do it to shut anybody up. Do it to get that money. Do it to get those licensing deals. Do it to get those action figure deals percentages that you get. It's all profit, because as a distributor and as a person that licensee, they pay for all of that stuff. When Sandman came over to Netflix, Netflix took the dime on that. They took the risk on that. All right, and guess who got paid? DC got paid. Forget about pleasing a fandom. Please that wallet. It's money. I don't know. That's maybe I'm just thinking too much about money lately. All right, reading statements a lot. Listen, dude, Dr. Scipio, we need to stop bringing up reading Stephen King books. All you do is make me angrier and angrier of the story I followed for my entire life and was left hanging. Just left hanging at book 7. Not going to spoil it for those of you who haven't read Dark Tower book 7, but I think you're going to be pissed off. But Salem's Lot was a pretty good book and an even creepier movie. Darcipio Chuds are already destroying the Last of Us show. I haven't even seen it. Is that out? Hey, Thane, is The Last of Us out yet? When does The Last of Us hit? Anybody in the chat? Yeah, because I actually want to watch that. We may do a show about that, to be honest with you. That may be a Sunday night thing for us to do.
We could do that like we did with House of Dragon.
Yeah.
January 15th.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's coming up here pretty quick. Yeah, it's coming up here pretty quick.
Okay, we're gonna have to figure that out. I'll give it a shot. Hold on for a second. Go ahead and answer some quick questions real quick. I gotta go use the restroom.
All right.
And I will be right.
So, what is everybody up to today besides with the wrestling? Because I'm not really the wrestling guy. That's more Williams Hang. No, I do agree with William about the whole, sell the Snyderverse stuff to Netflix. Let's see if he'll work with it there. License out your stuff, man. Take the money up off the ground, because you're just leaving it laying around, Right. I feel you on that. Of course she is. Joy Behar's crazy. There's a reason why I don't watch The View. Because blaming people, regardless of what side of the road you're on, blaming other people for, blaming... Oh, am I reading any current comics? Yes, I am actually reading Something's Killing the Children here lately. I've been reading some DC Black Label stuff. I've gone back and read some of the older books the storylines that I was into. I actually just went back and reread Death of Superman and Funeral for a Friend, which was really good. It's about as good as I remember it. Of course, I always look at, I've been reading the new X-Men stuff too, just things of that nature. What are you reading, Lily? Daniel? But yeah, there's about 5-6 books I read religiously right now, and then the rest of it's just add-on stuff. I've been reading Hellions. I've been reading X-Men, stuff like that. 8 Billion Genies. That's cool. Cool. Yeah, I'm trying to look at some of the indie stuff, like Something's Killing the Children. There's one. It's a DC comic, but I think it's Black Label. It's called Something House on the Lake or something like that. That looked really interesting. I've got it bookmarked. I might start reading it here soon. Let's see. See, I read all my comics digital these days. I pay for, my fiance and I have, we paid for a year for Marvel and a year for DC, their digital lines. Final Crisis trade paperback. Oh, that's cool. Hold on, let me see where that bookmark is real quick. I'm about to start reading Flashpoint Beyond. Oh, it's called A Nice House on the Lake. Yeah, it looks really good. I'm also looking into Dark Knights of Steel, which deals with Batman and Superman.
Yeah, Dark Knight Steel is really good. Dark Knight Steel. You know what? That line, and even going all the way back to Dark Knight's Metal. I don't know if you brought that one up. Oh wow, dude! Everybody who has eyeballs should be reading that.
William, do you know anything about The Nice House on the Lake?
Yeah, I bought it I have it on my shelf right now.
What have you read it?
The Black Label title. It's kind of macabre. I mean, I don't read it. But it sells very well for me.
Yeah,
it's one of the. Hold on for a second. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab it.
All right.
Yeah, I flipped through it. It has the look and feel of one of the old Vertigo, like Shade the Changing Man type of covers.
Right.
So yeah, it's here's so let's flip through it. Like I said, this is one of the few Black Label stuff I haven't had enough time to read. Book 4. I think I have all the issues too.
Do you sell Something's Killing the Children?
Yeah, I can't keep my hands on it though. I get shorted in it and people wait for it. So let's see. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was telling them that Stella and I got a year's worth of DC Unlimited and a year's worth of the Marvel and the DC digital apps.
Oh, I have it's on DC Infinite. Yeah, Infinite Universe. Yeah.
DC, we got a year of DC Infinite and we got a year of Marvel Unlimited, so we could read a bunch of the older stuff.
Yeah, and when we start doing the shows that go back to like when we were doing Sci-Fi Center Presents, that's the way I want to do it. Instead of like doing what I just did now, I want to be able to
bring that up.
To bring it up Here's issue 7. The covers of these are brilliant, by the way.
Oh, the one the Lake. Oh yeah, they're beautiful covers, dude.
Yeah, and then you have Refrigerator Full of Heads.
Oh yeah, that's I heard about that one. Yeah,
another DC Black Label. Like I said, DC Black Label is really, really doing it for me, and not just the Batman title, but there are other titles that sell well. Boom Studios, Boom Comics is doing well for me, so I'm glad. Thank God they're around because right now the Say it again.
What do you think of Flashpoint Beyond? Is it worth following up after Flashpoint?
Personal preference, no.
Okay.
But that's going to be a personal. If you enjoyed Flashpoint, which I fucking abhor, that entire ordeal, then I'm biased against it. But there are some people who enjoyed Flashpoint. If you enjoyed Flashpoint and think there was anything good that came out of it, then you might like it.
What about Aquaman Andromeda?
Yes, Aquaman Andromeda is good.
Did you read Lonely City, Catwoman, Lonely City?
Yes.
Because this is all stuff I've got bookmarked that I'm going to read, but I wanted your opinion on.
Yeah, Catwoman. The Catwoman one was the best of the ones you just mentioned.
The Dark Knights of Steel covers look really nice.
It's a good story too. It's a good story. I think they're going up in value too in some cases. So where are we at in the chat? Oh wow, my God. Let me start at the bottom. All right, Monkey Jeeves. Marcus calling people chuds is hilarious when he is one. What is a chud? I hear that on Jarvis Joe and RJ are talking. What the hell is a chud?
Hold on, I'll bring up the slang and explain it to you.
Oh Lord, I remember the movie Chud.
Yeah, me too.
What are these guys talking about? I have a feeling that I'm going to fall in that description.
An unattractive person whose defining characteristic of their personality is egotism, most often used to describe typical one-dimensional preps, chaunches, or the like.
Oh shit, that's me.
Anyone who has no good qualities at all, assholes, morons, idiots, jerks, preppy pieces of shit, meatheads, that sort of guy. Basically, it's basically people who like to talk about shit they know nothing about, but they act like they're some sort of expert.
Like my pet peeve, and I think I was talking about when I was on Enosh's show the other night. The quality that I hate the most about people, especially in the internet era, are the people who take shots at people who take risks. Like I had to defend The Rock, who's a billionaire, not because of the quality of his plight necessarily, but the fact that these people who will sit on the sidelines their entire lives and take shots at the people who take risks. And then if it doesn't work out 100% the way that person risked it for, then now that guy's a failure when you're sitting in the cheap seats while that guy is on at home plate taking that swing. To me, that would be a chud, I guess. So let's see. Ooh, wow, you guys are going at it. I'm just messing with you, Marcus. Yeah, nobody's taking any of this shit seriously. It is comic book. What is that? Why does Nick Miller's Batman disguise himself as a homeless lady? Did Batman? Oh yeah, Batman has historically used a lot of disguises.
Matches Malone. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, he'll dress as a woman. He'll dress as and in the Batman, he walks around just dressed as a regular club goer. I mean, and a regular guy in the street. Yeah, he's a true detective if you're writing him right. Something underground dweller. I forgot. Yeah. And they made Chud too, and that was a horrible movie.
Chud actually stands for cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers. That was the name of the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Marcus comment is still on the screen. Oh, he must have said something silly. Marcus calling you. Okay. So.
Leave the Last of Us thing.
Oh, okay. Yes, he is very good. He's one of mine as well.
So what's the big you're reading right now, William?
Say that again, sir.
What are you reading right now, William?
I'm reading all the Black Label stuff that comes out. I read Batman. I read Detective Comics. I read Superman. I read the X-Men stuff right now, even though I'm still starting to lose me. I read Miles Morales Spider-Man. I read Ben Reilly Spider-Man. I read the Amazing Spider-Man, even though it's starting to wane on me. I'm reading the Avengers, all the Avengers titles. I read Iron Man. I'm reading a couple of indies. I'm trying to look at my stack from over here. What else am I reading? I read Daredevil. I always read Daredevil. What else am I reading?
Of current Krakoa age X-Men. Do you think that there are a bunch of? Do you think that Krakoa is an ethno state?
Say that again. I heard Krakoa.
Okay, the current Krakoa era of X-Men. Do you think that Krakoa is an ethno state?
Technically, yes. Technically, yes. I mean, I think that's the point, though, right?
Do you think that? Do you think that the current writers of X-Men have like? This is stuff I've wanted to talk to you about. I mean, we talk about the entertainment thing all the time, but like opinions, like, do you think that's a bad thing, or do you think that they were forced to that spot?
Well, remember what Mutant Kind had been treated like up to that point, and what led to these storylines. And they were being hunted down, killed, decimated. Everything was happening in the previous years. So, I mean, it's a safe haven. If you tried to superimpose the rules that they live under into any other nation, I guess no, that would not be right. But it is where, it's for them. You see what I mean? It's for them. Yeah. It's for, the rules that are there are for them. And it's not like they inhabited some other place and settled there and created an ethno state. It's a mutant that is literally an island that is making them immortal and basically creating a strong haven for them. I think it fits the story, but it does. There's a lot of other moral questions in that comic book too. I mean, the whole, immortality thing was kind of weird because, like I said, it took away the life and death stakes of what it meant to be an X-Men. But then again, as I catch up, because I'm a little bit behind.
I think they were using that as like a story, as like a crutch for the story for a little while, because now where we're at, they can't do the resurrection protocols.
Yeah, that's wrapped up. What is the last one I read? Because I had a customer here today who was filling in some holes in it because I'm behind. I'm sore. I mean, I still read my comics, but I'm sorely behind. I got so much shit going on.
Did you?
But yeah,
Avengers versus X-Men Eternals.
Yes.
Judgment Day.
Yeah. In fact, I still have that on the shelf. I thought the story was a little convoluted. I mean, it wasn't my favorite thing of the month when it came out. I thought the whole Judgment Day storyline was just, oh man. I thought it had a good basis, but it's like the Empire storyline that they did a couple years ago. It's like any story that Marvel does, they spread the premise so thin that it's like, where do I need to be at the meat of the story? Like Empire was like a waste of time for me. I hated that storyline. But when they were doing it right, Secret Invasion was the perfect Marvel crossover. It was a perfect Marvel bulk story. They haven't done a story, in my opinion, that good since then. All right, the way they built it up, but they didn't spread the premise so thin. Whereas Judgment Days, I mean, they were all over the place at that, in my opinion. That's just me, though. It did pretty well. In an era where miniseries are not doing that well. That's just by the way, these are just my opinions, guys. I mean, if you're reading these things and you're enjoying them, then continue. I'm going backwards. Oh, the big Babson, yeah, that's like $50 too.
Marvel right now.
Yeah, I had to get in. How cool it sounds. Okay, let me. I was away in the bathroom, so I don't know where you were at. I think WWE should do another exclusively women live event. That Evolution pay for what it was, is strong and athletic. The women seem to make their matches more believable and realistic. Yeah. That's to me. When it comes to WWE, I enjoy I enjoy the women's stuff better. Like I said, I can't say, I think the world of Alexa Bliss to be 5 foot tall, 105 pounds, and to be able to sell her matches like she does against much larger opponents. And it's not just about being able, wrestling is about selling the story and selling the matches. And when you have a massive size difference, it's not easy to do. Hulk Hogan couldn't do it, and a lot of wrestlers couldn't do it when they wrestled Hulk Hogan. A lot of his matches broke down into, gargantuan versus gargantuan type of things. That's why when I have a guy like Ospreay, or when I have guys like Kenny Omega who have such a wide skill set, it's not just the big guy wrestling the little guy, body slam, kick, and that's it. And the women's matches, for the most part, you're, like Nikki Cash is the same size as Alexa Bliss, yet she can get in there and wrestle and get down with somebody who's 5'8", 140 pounds, and make it believable. And I think the women's wrestling in general is, for WWE, is much more believable than anything else they got going on for them right now. But there are other things, like I said. I mean, I wish AJ Styles hadn't signed another contract there. I think the world of AJ Styles, and I think since he's been in WWE, I think AJ Styles is a top guy wherever he is, and he just hasn't been the top guy. Finn Balor, these are guys who are like, more talented beyond what they're doing in WWE right now, but that money's there, so they took it, and I can't blame them. I don't agree with that, actually. I think the Generation X was kind of unique. It just went on too long. Same thing with the NWO. NWO, there was a time in 1988 where they should have pulled the plug on the NWO, but they just couldn't. All right. It will hurt the brand. They're trying to get people to forget it. And I think you were talking about if they were to sell that Snyderverse to Netflix. No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't, because one is on Netflix and one is on the big screen. So if that's what you're talking about, Monkey Juice, that might be. Let's see. All right, the scary part is that if DC movies don't do well and don't make the money that they are hoping, or so, do you go back to drawing board or the Snyderverse Justice League? Well, no, because you're like now you're talking about 3 or 4 more years removed from those. So you're going to be bringing in a whole new generation of fans that will not have any connection, which is why I don't think you should do it this way. And I hope they do not do it this way. And it sounds like these guys are having second thoughts, if that was ever their thought to begin with, when it comes to rebooting. I'm hearing partial reboots and things like that. But once again, I'm going to wait to hear it from James Gunn. Yeah, Andrew Luck made the right decision in retiring early because, and like I said, he was dealing with shoulder and arm injuries. So. All right, Hamlin, come on. Show. There you go. Hamlin needed to play for 3 years for his insurance to kick in, and he was on a rookie deal. I think there are aren't there some cases, buddy, where the potential, not the players union one, but when you are going up to AAU and you're going up to all these things, there's insurance policies that you pay into, where if you break a leg in college, or if you break a leg in first year, it's not the league's insurance, but a lot of athletes, I believe, have taken out insurance policies on themselves or their families, or the people who would benefit from them making millions, have taken out insurance policies so that if something catastrophic happens to them, that they have something to go on. I know what you're talking about, because of the league rules. I think you have to 36 months or something like that, as a 36 months of total time. But I think there are other insurance policies outside of the league. I forgot what they're called, but I know Jason Williams, who played for Duke, who got into the motorcycle accident, I think he had something like that, but you could be right. All right, so is your camera froze, or just my internet up? I hope it was just your internet. All right, I'm just making sure that I got some of the Tony, why is it that Warner Brothers Discovery is totally okay with keeping Ezra Miller and possibly Gal Gadot and not Henry Cavill? Just what the hell are you going to do to reboot? I don't have a good answer for you because we don't know what they're thinking, and the only thing we've heard is from trades and scoopers and rumors and stuff like that. Every question I ask myself like this, I come up with even more questions. So I can't answer you because I don't know the whole story yet, and he hasn't released it yet. This might not even be true at all, or we don't know what he has in store for him. We know that his new Superman does not include Cavill, but is there Cavill somewhere? We don't know. I mean, like I said, like just mentioning it brings up other questions. So, all right, let's make sure that Marcus, I think a good way to go about changing the second part would be not acting like Joel did a terrible thing while saving the. Okay, so you guys are talking about something totally different here. All right, so let's go back down to the bottom here.
Yeah,
Seeing Lucha live in Mexico is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. The males and females fighting each other, and it's super brutal and impressive. So much fun too. The crowd is, yeah. I've had a chance to see Lucha Libre in California and in San Diego, and the pace of the match just keeps your head just like whoa, whoa, whoa. And yeah, the women, they can put it down there too. Hamlin was on a 6th round pick, so I doubt he took insurance out. I don't know, man. I mean, because look, think of it this way. Like I said, I could be totally wrong, but if you're in the NFL, you're up in the top 1 percentile of the entire fucking planet, right? So you know you're talented. It's not like you know the talent. You know in high school and you know in college, and when you get drafted, if you're drafted by a pro team, I think that would be the time when you would take it out because now you know even a 6th round draft pick is going to make more than a guy like me. And you would want to safeguard what would be the natural progression of your contract. At least, I mean, 100% could be wrong, but I've heard of that happening. But even a 6th round draft pick is a guy that's going to make minimum $500,000 a year. He was probably minimum rookie contract is $500,000. I think. I don't know what he negotiated, but like I said, you take out insurance so that you don't lose potential income. It's like that's what insurance is. So I would wonder if that's the case. But okay, so if he doesn't have insurance, then he needs to. I still don't want him back on the field. I don't want his family to collect a life insurance policy instead. Fuck that.
It definitely does not need to
find some other way. I don't know. I would say if that's what the filmmaker thought, I could see it. He's a big, bulky dude, and like I said, you put anybody in a makeup chair, they can become anything you want. Has my camera been freezing a lot?
Yes, it has.
I wonder if it's let me look on the YouTube thing. Let me make sure. You're right, it is freezing.
Okay, so he signed a 4-year contract.
How much is it? Hold on. How much did you sign it for?
$3,640,000.
Okay, and what year is he in? He's in only what, second year?
Yeah, 2nd year.
Yeah, it looks like my camera is what has been freezing. Hold on, Dan. I'm gonna switch this camera out. This is a brand new camera. It's not messing out. I'll be right back.
All right. Yes, to answer your question, Daniel Martin, I did see that trailer, and it's amazing. It's going to be a good movie. The Evil Dead Rises trailer is going to be really cool. I mean, the movie is going to be really good. Yeah, that was messy, Vince. The scalping. Whew. I am curious about that, whether that's a sequel or not. I haven't really heard much about it. I just happened to catch the trailer last night and a reaction by Cody Leach, and that trailer just looked really cool.
All right, let's see if this camera works a little bit better.
Oh, that looks good.
All right, cool. All right. Let me know if it's I have the other stream up, but I wasn't looking to see how bad I was freezing. I'm hoping we solved it because that's kind of pissing me off. All right, so where are we at? Yeah, I looked over at the thing. Yeah, that was freezing. So let me see if I back up.
Have you seen the trailer for Evil Dead Rises?
Yes.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, that looks to be one of the best. All right, chat. Let me know if I'm my camera's freezing because I can't see it on StreamYards, and I'm looking at the thing right now. Okay, yeah, it looks like we're back up again.
Yeah,
brand new camera too. All right, yeah, we're gonna be promoting Evil Dead Rises, so that's one of the movies that I look forward to. I hope they send us tons of stuff for that one. It looks great. It looks fucking creepy as hell too.
Yeah, the part where she gets out of the bathtub with her kids at the end.
Yeah, what the hell, man? That's a Red Band trailer too. That's why they did that shit. So
yeah, it's like
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see this movie. All right, William Powell, are you going to see a Gran Turismo movie when it comes out in the movie theaters? Maybe. Dude, my time, like I said, what's up?
Is that Gran Turismo thing based on the video game?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is. All right, so X-Men has a girl that poops ice cream. Monkey Jesus.
No, it's true. There are some really off and strange mutants out there with the new X-Men stuff. But then again, there's always
okay, so here it goes. This again. The Rock tried to take power, but didn't have the box office to back it up. Okay, that's bullshit though, Todd. Because here's why: the people who were running Warner Brothers didn't have the box office to back anything up. All right, on that notion, James Gunn doesn't have a job because James Gunn's movie lost money. So it wasn't about the box office. They hired someone else. If James Gunn never gets hired, it doesn't matter what Black Adam's box office does because they had already greenlit Henry Cavill to go on the air before they even knew what it was going to make. They had already greenlit James Gunn to make Peacemaker before Suicide Squad lost any money. So if that power move was based on that, then they had to do time travel. Then that had nothing to do with anything. It had to do with once. David Zaslav had a lot of things going on parallel. He had Abney and DeLuca running certain things, and he was interviewing people to run DC. Once he got the guy he wanted to, and that guy presented him with his plan, that plan conflicted with what was going on before. That's what happened. The Rock, the Rock is not even a power. You can only have a power play if the people before you fucked up. Why? Who created the vacuum? The Rock was doing what his predecessors and the people who run fucking Warner Brothers should have been doing. That's not a power play. That's just someone doing something while the rest of everybody else sits on their ass and makes B movies and Polka Dot Man and has plans for Wonder Twins and gives me Shazam and gives me Black Adam, which are B and C characters. I mean, blame those guys. Those guys didn't make any money. There are more films that the previous regime lost money on. They kept their jobs for 5 years. James Gunn is literally the president of DC Films. The only thing he's done for DC has lost money. So it's not based on that. You either believe in the person that you're going with or you don't. And they believed in James Gunn's vision. All right. And they hired and committed to him and Safran. And when you do that, the very first thing you do once you put them at the position was probably not to undermine them. Because if James Gunn isn't hired, the Black Adam's box office doesn't matter because there are too many things that with Black Adam's box office is concerned that had nothing to do with anybody that was currently employed at Warner Brothers. The marketing campaign was horrible from the beginning. All right. The budget should have never been improved for as much as it was. Who approved the reshoots? The Rock could want reshoots, but who said yes? Who greenlit a C-list character? All right. Who put out Black Adam when there was no main Trinity character around? That's not The Rock's fault. So if I'm going forward with Black Adam, it's not going to have anything to do with his box office because I know as an incoming regime, the fact that I'm here in the first place probably means I can do better than the people that we replaced. So if you put all things considered, the things that they did have control over, which was not much, they probably figured that they had the stones to go forward with. Were not for the hiring of James Gunn. If James Gunn is not hired, you're going forward with Cavill and you're going forward with Black Adam. That's what they were doing. That's why they approved him to go out and get on those interviews. That's why when Henry Cavill came back, it was on all DC proper and Warner Brother proper's social media sites. They were going to go forward with him, and that box office for Black Adam wasn't part of their calculations. So I 100% disagree with this because that's not how they don't make most people, if you're any good at what you're doing, don't make knee-jerk decisions when there's so many aspects of it that you can change. There's a whole bunch of stuff about Black Adam. If you were to make a Black Adam 2, that as a new producer and a new studio head, you could change and make better. All they had to have to do is look like, you know, we weren't there for all those mistakes, but I bet you we could do better. That's all it would have taken. It's like I said, if that's true, then why does James Gunn have a job? Why was James Gunn given a TV show with a movie that lost money? Lost tons of money. So that's not true at all, I'll be honest with you. That's just my opinion, though. All right, I think Warner Bros. Discovery has just done Henry Cavill so dirty that I just don't understand giving him another Superman movie is Man of Steel in general. Like I said, I am waiting to see what's going on with his plan. Like he's got an uphill battle simply because whenever you do a reboot, most reboots fail. I don't know how many times I have to say this for somebody fucking listens. Most reboots fail. So if you're starting with a reboot, you're automatically up against it. And to add more weight to your uphill battle, you're doing an intergenerational reboot, which means the people that you're replacing are currently able to play those parts to their fruition, and you're not allowing that. So not only do you not have a generation in between or the amount of time that most reboots, whether they fail or not, have, you're doing it. You're literally pushing out a passenger while you're moving from the back seat to the front seat. That's what you're doing. So,
by the way,
I don't know.
The Damar Hamlin contract, he had allowances for dead money, cap savings, base salary, stuff like that. So,
okay, I'm pretty sure there's I'm pretty sure that there's a case in there where he could come out and make some cash. I would hate to see him at 24 not be able to make some good money based on something like that, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, I've been hearing that from a lot of people. And then, like I said, when I was on Enoch's stream, The Rock should take the L. I'm like, why the fuck does The Rock take the L? It's the studio should take the L. I'm never going to condemn The Rock for doing what he did. I'm going to commend him. Why? Because the pieces of shit that he had to work with should have been doing a lot better job, and there shouldn't have been a vacuum for him to come into. All right, there shouldn't have been a Superman to bring back. Fucking Superman should have been there the whole time. All right, there shouldn't have been having to bring fans back to the theaters because you gave them 5 years of obscure characters that nobody knew who the fuck they were. All right, The Rock didn't do that. The Rock didn't even greenlit his own film. You did, Warner Brothers. You greenlit a B character. You greenlit a B character and several C characters while you had nothing going on with Superman, nothing going on with your shared universe Batman. Did The Rock do that? Did The Rock fuck up Justice League? Because that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people don't trust DC. The Rock didn't do any of that shit. But we want to sit on the sidelines and throw rocks at the only guy who was getting any traction in any movement. And the only reason it didn't work out is because someone else got hired that had a conflicting plan and they bought into what that person was doing. That's it. Who knows if he even made the right decision or not? We don't know how this is going to work out. But I keep hearing The Rock's ego. Everybody involved has an ego. All right. Every single one of these guys, whether you like him or not, has an ego. All right. If you have an executive next to your name or any real title worth anything next to your name in Hollywood, you have an ego or you're not in Hollywood. And you damn sure ain't at the executive level. So Zaslav had an ego. Teacher High had an ego. Johns had an ego. Sarnoff had an ego. Imrov had an ego. Even Zach had an ego. But you know why? Because in order to be really fucking good at your job, a lot of times you have to believe you're that good at your job. All right. So The Rock's ego doing this, he was in a Viper's pit with a bunch of shitheads who had just as big egos as he did. And most of them hadn't earned those egos. Rock's got $1 billion in the bank. The people who are making fun of The Rock don't have shit. All right. They have their computers and they can target risk takers from the comfort of their keyboard. That is the epitome of a loser to me. All right. It's one thing to not, if you can't do something, or if someone is taking a risk in millions of dollars and careers putting on the line, the best you could do is, he's got to wear the L. He's this and that. I'm like, the L is you, because the loser is the one who never tries. All right. The loser is the one that plays it safe. And not just plays it safe, because playing it safe is fine. But when you play it safe and then you knock someone else, that's a loser. All right. If you don't want to take the risk and be on that platform, that's fine. You know what? But to tell someone to take the L when you don't even know what winning is, I mean, how would you know the difference? How are the people who knock The Rock know the difference between winning and losing? From their little points of view in their house, in their living room, in front of their laptop, they know what's on the line? No. That stuff broiled my brain. It's not just The Rock. Whenever people take shots at people that are trying something to get movement out of something because maybe the people who are supposed to be doing it aren't doing their fucking jobs, that's the last guy that should get attacked. There's even if you were going to put The Rock on a list, there's about 20 people ahead of The Rock who deserve to be shit on and have an L tattooed on their fucking forehead long before The Rock gets into the conversation. And to be honest with you, he shouldn't even be in the conversation as far as taking the loss. I wouldn't have even got on YouTube or Instagram and told anybody about anything. I'd have been, you know what? I tried. These people fucked it up. Now I'm moving on. Those are my words. I put that on a t-shirt. People without egos don't make it. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like I said, if they were basing it on box office losses, then James Gunn doesn't have a job. And do I think that James Gunn losing money on Suicide Squad should exclude him from getting a job? No, because there's much more to what someone can do for your company than factors that are in box office. Same thing for Black Adam. There are a lot of factors in Black Adam that cause it to not do what some people might have expected to do. But the same thing goes for the Suicide Squad. So if you are of common sense and you have 4 fucking brain cells in your head and you can put them together to form a thought, you would use that same criteria when you're picking someone or when you're judging whether something can happen again. All right. There are more to these things than just the raw box office. There is so much shit that goes down. So how much shit did The Rock have to go through just to get the movie done to begin with? Why is he bringing Cavill back? Why isn't Cavill already there? You know what? Why did you greenlit a Black Adam movie? Why did you greenlit Shazam? Why were you about to greenlit the fucking Wonder Twins? These are things that drive people, the general audience, away from your brand because that's not attractive to them. So you're going to put the onus on The Rock coming back after you haven't had Cavill on the screen for 5 years, Aquaman, how the next Aquaman season would literally between two presidents. So you go 5 years of giving us C-grade bullshit, and then The Rock takes the L for his movie not making $1 billion. Fuck that. That is noise. That is bullshit. There's a lot of L's to be handed out, but thankfully most of those people are gone from the company. Now there may be some potential L's to be handed out because, like I said, Zazov's taking a huge risk here. This is a huge risk, and Gunn is signed on for a huge risk, and the probability of success isn't all that great. Does that mean that they can't achieve it? No, 100% they can. They definitely can, but it ain't easy, and they've made it harder on themselves if they go this route. But the last person in the room that gets the L is the guy who got up off his ass while a bunch of bullshitters for 5 years didn't. All right? Figure out what winning and losing is before we go after guys like that. That's all I'm saying. All right, where was I? Behind the scenes, Grand Trivial was worth a watch. I'm excited for the BioShock. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Video is definitely better now. Okay, thank you, Larry. I it's that camera. I have to fix something with the bit rate, I think it is, or something like that. All right, all this Rock Black Adam blaming his drive. It's driving me nuts. And like I said, I would superimpose the Rock's name on anybody else. Why weren't you guys this vocal when these losers were running DC films into the ground for 5 years? You were too busy calling us fanatics and cultists, but you weren't looking at the business reasons while this shit is where it is. All right? Instead of calling us cultists and whiners, why weren't you going after the studio when they released Harley Quinn and the Birds of Emancipation or whatever the fuck that was? A horrible movie that hurt that brand for Harley Quinn. Where were you guys when these assholes were about to put Glee fucking Monkey on a big screen or on a TV show? Where were you guys about that? But somehow the guy who got more. Where were you at when Toby Emmerich wanted to reboot Superman 2018, which would have been a total fucking disaster? Where were you guys then? Where were the L's being handed out then? But we want to get the guy because you don't like The Rock, the guy who actually got an inch of movement more than any of those clowns combined did. The guy who put a character on the screen that should have never been taken off the screen. All right. Like I said, if that's the guy you're handing out the L, you don't know what winning and losing is. You're in the shitty seats looking down at the field, wondering what the fuck's going on. And that goes for anybody. I mean, if you're going to take aim at a risk taker, understand what the risk was, understand what was on the line, all the mechanics that may have led up to whatever goes on. Because from your cheap seats, the detail comes in a lot grainier than it does in real life. All right, at least we can sleep comfortable knowing that Hugh is back as Wolverine. I never gave a shit about that. I know a lot of people. I know I'm in the vast minority. I saw none of the Deadpool movies in the theater. I saw them all on video or on demand or anything like that. It's just from a teenager point of view, when they first created the Deadpool character, I just never connected with that character. I know other people had. The Wolverine for me, the definitive Wolverine for me, and I would want to leave it there, was Logan, but I know that's an alternate universe. I've never been a fan of the Deadpool movie, so I could sleep fine either way because I had no plans to go see it with Hugh Jackman in it. So it'll make it $700-800 million. It'll do just fine. All right, dead money only kicks in the cutout. I think the player gets that. Yeah, it kicks in to keep him under cap, but I like I said, I want to find out. I'll probably look that up because they're probably going to start talking about this now that he's talking. He's going to live because remember that was the main priority. Is that let's see if this guy lives first before we even talk about anything else. You know. All right, fact here. Let's see. Tia says. William is part of the NFL, the No Fun League. Yeah, I mean, I loved the touchdown celebrations and shit. What the one guy took out a cell phone and took a picture of himself in the ball, or went to row and to do the resuscitation on the ball. I think that's fun. The touchdown dances and all that, and touting and all that. I mean, it's just not, they've taken out a lot of fun. They haven't taken out, it took them forever to take out all the dangerous stuff, but a lot of people complain about Birds. It's just an awful movie. It had some standout performances in there, but the movie itself was awful and it was crowded. I mean, And then you name the movie, and I'm like, Birds of what? You know, and there should have been 2 separate movies. If you were going to do the Birds of Prey, which you should not be doing at this stage, then you give them their own movie and you let Harley Quinn be in her own movie without them, but they fucked that up. And like I said, you cannot go 5 years without a shared universe, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, you know, and not forget the mainline characters we never got, Green Lantern, you know, stuff like that. I mean, you cannot go 5 years and expect the fans to hang around for that. All right. When you sign on to DC, you sign on for the expectation of what is DC. You didn't sign on for Blue Beetle. You didn't sign on for Gleek the Monkey. You didn't sign on for Shazam. All right. Nope. You came to DC because the expectation has been set, and that's what they started you out with. You cannot start me out with the greatest superheroes in the world and then go 5 years of giving me Polka Dot Man and Weasel and Captain Boomerang. Like the movie, but the general audience is like, who the fuck are these people? Where's Superman? All right. That comes down to that. No matter whatever argument you want to make for these obscure characters being pushed to the forefront, the general audience guy is going to be like, what the fuck is this rat? What is this? What's to do with the polka dot? Where's Superman? Where's Batman? Where's Wonder Woman? And not the Batman. Where's the Batman that stands side by side with Superman? That stands side by side with Wonder Woman? Where's the Green Lantern? Where are the characters that are the expectation? All right. But you spent 5 years of giving them B characters and expect anybody, The Rock or anybody else, to pull that plane off the tailspin. All right. Anybody who wants to make that judgment should have been whining very, very loud the last 5 years. But all of a sudden, when The Rock's in the crosshairs, they come from under their covers and they want to take shots. And I'm like, maybe he's an asshole. Don't know. Never met him. But if he's an asshole, how you picked him out amongst all the other assholes that are in this situation is beyond me. So there you go. Hunter Iggy, William Powell, as a female wrestling are fucked up society. Yeah. They may let them wrestle, but they're going to be very limited. They will not. I don't think the culture will allow them to be. And I'm not knocking the culture of Islam and Saudi Arabia. That is, that's their culture. But at the same time, it clashes with what the WWE has become, what wrestling in general has become for women. Harley Quinn and the Birds of Emancipation shouldn't have been. Okay, the Birds of Emancipation shouldn't have even been in there. Hunters, none of those. Give them their own TV show or movie. Harley Quinn and Black Mask, because I thought Ewan McGregor did great in that. All right, Monkey Jeebus. People who complain about Birds of Prey were called alt-right. I'm definitely not alt-right. I complained about Birds of Prey because it was a stupid movie. It was all over the place, and there was a lot of talent in that movie. That was Mary Elizabeth Winstead is great. Shouldn't have been in that movie. All right. The girl who played Black Canary did decent jobs, but there's not enough screen time for them to flesh out their characters. And you have this other movie basically within a movie going along that really doesn't have anything to do with them and they weren't needed in that movie. And the title was just too stupid and confusing. And Wonder Twins, exactly. The Rock didn't agree like that. They were going to do that. If that clown show had stayed in their positions, we were getting the monkey in the bucket of water. The Rock, that's not The Rock's fault. All right, I was saying about your dislike for Deadpool. Oh, I just never caught on with Deadpool, and I liked both of the creators, Fabi Nakaeza and Rob Liefeld created that character, and I loved New Mutants at the time. It just wasn't the time for me. I mean, and Rob Liefeld made like 30 characters that all looked like Deadpool with different colors and stuff. When he went to Image, it was another 3 or 4 Deadpools. I just never made the connection with the character. And then when his movie came out, when it comes to comic book movies for me, I don't like that element of comedy in my comic book movies. I don't mind my comic book movies having some comedy in them, but Deadpool for me was comedy driven. I am not knocking people who like it. It just wasn't for me. And he continues not to be for me. And Hugh Jackman is not enough to me to get into it, So that's just me. Hugh said Deadpool 3 shouldn't interfere with Logan. No, it's a totally different. But that's how I want to remember Logan, unless you do another serious X-Men movie. But his time is done. He had 20 years as a character. I think that's enough. To be fair, I'd love his couching speeches right now. Also, slightly unrelated, Hugh Jackman is the greatest porn star name. Jesus Christ, dude. Sure. That is Larry's the views of Larry do not reflect the views of Point Extra Lounge. Yeah, Martin Manhunter. Yeah, Martian Manhunter. We lost out on a lot. The things that gets me especially wanted to reboot Superman in 2018. Why did Tommy Emmerich has sort of grudge against Zack Snyder and anybody that will work with him, including that. Because they thought they knew what they were doing, and when their shit unraveled, they didn't. Like I said, the reason why they didn't touch those characters for 5 years is because they didn't like his versions, but they had nothing better. See, all of this would have been solved if Toby Emmerich and all these guys would have blown us away with what their plan was. If you're going to take the one plan that I'm watching off, okay, great. You better put some shit in there but James Gunn has the same responsibility. If James Gunn is going to erase things and reboot things, what he gives you, and this is where he deserves the benefit of the doubt, to go ahead and get this shit done so we can see it. He needs to blow us away with something better. Otherwise, he's always going to be compared fairly or unfairly to what came before it. And what the previous regime did, they didn't even give a fuck. At least James Gunn is giving you something to fill that void. They didn't fill the void. They filled the void with Captain Boomerang. All right, they filled the void with the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and stuff like that. And no matter how much you love Peacemaker and want to tell me that it's the biggest success in the world, even though we don't have internal numbers, I do believe that it was successful to agree. I think that these numbers, until they're put to public scrutiny, can be whatever the person doing the project wants them to be. But I don't need those numbers to know Suicide Squad lost a ton of money, and I don't need the excuse of the fact that, it was COVID because Godzilla vs. Kong found a way to make money in the same environment. And it was and pre-pandemic, I mean pre-vaccine and all that. So, like I said, if you don't like The Rock, that's one thing, but to try to put that on him is absolute bullshit, in my opinion. All right, that's just garbage. All right, Larry Monkey Jeebus, that's definitely part of it. I felt like the Snyder hit pieces were insinuating too that I know. Yeah, and I don't know, man. I'm not a left guy. I'm a liberal, I guess at best, but I'm more moderate. I'm not a wing person, right wing or left wing, but you really didn't need any of that. It's just a bad movie. What's going on?
I said I'm not wing it either. I'm a centrist.
Oh, there you go. I'm a moderate guy. True. Black Mass. I thought he could have been better. All right, Hunter Iggy, William Powell, Vincent Van to Saudi Arabia, WWE's done. It would just be weird because you're talking about a completely different culture running an American base. There's a lot of stuff that goes on WWE that just doesn't. It's not going to fly. Not just in Saudi Arabia, but a lot of Arabic nations. It just the culture is different, and you're going to be running it. They would have to. They would just have to be the money figures. I don't think they could be running it because, like I said, are you going to do that kind of censorship for WWE? Yeah, they could be done. It's got to be Comcast. I mean, it just makes Comcast. You find a way to make that bid. I don't think. I mean, like I said, I don't believe the Saudi one as much because I haven't seen it, but it could be true. But it doesn't matter who else is in it. It needs to be fucking Comcast needs to do it. I'm extremely left, and the movie sucked. It took me four tries to get to it. It was an awful movie. It wasn't my cup of tea either. It wasn't even just an empty cup. Chappie, I actually like Birds of Prey. I knew it was coming. I like Birds of Prey, but I do love Harley Quinn animated series. Harley Quinn animated series is like the new version of DC stuff that I will watch animated wise, and that's the raunchy ass show. But it's fun though. Yeah, that's another. Yeah, I noticed that too. And I'm from Los Angeles. All right, Larry, I also agree with William. A big X-Men fan. I've never connected with Deadpool. He seems like the next gen Wolverine, and I never needed. Yeah, with jokes. especially once he started to define his personality away from what his original script was. Like I said, you guys love Deadpool. I'm all for it. It just wasn't me. All right, William, WB is insisting that JJ's DC projects such as the Black Superman are still happening. Why do Elseworlds but kick? Okay, I don't have an answer for you because I don't know to what degree JJ stuff is going forward. We've just heard rumors from places that I'm just not falling for these times, and I don't know what's going on with Cavill. As far as I know, what I know is he's not in JJ's future plans, but is he doing something? For all we know, all the ideas I've come up with Elseworlds and stuff could be a tweet away from happening. So until we know that, you're asking questions that you have the same questions I do. And right now, I think the best course of action is just for us to wait to see all this come together. And like I always say, I'll say it 1,000 times, disassemble the pictures in our head that we've developed of this situation and let the situation come together.
The thing that Cavill's concentrating on right now is the Amazon deal with Games Workshop. So he's not really worried about WB right now since they let him go.
Yeah, like I said, I wasn't in there on the conversation, the out meeting. They could have said not yet, not now, but wait soon. We're putting these together and wait for our call. Go do your other. I mean, we don't. I don't know. I wasn't a fly on the wall, and I think a lot of the damage that we've done to our fandom is we just don't. I think we should wait. We got a guy who's talking to us and who's making announcements. I'll be happier when he stops talking in riddles, but oh shit, it's 11:57. We got a few more minutes here. Chody Chappie. That grudge. He probably fat fingered it like me, and that's why I could read it real quick because I fucked that name. Dude, autocorrect. I mean, when I'm in the chat room and other people's streams, it sucks because I can't get those back. All right, seriously, JJ not delivering on any of his DC pod. That's not JJ's fault though. Here's the thing though. I don't know how many scripts that he was handing in to Tony Embrag that got rejected or they didn't want, or they said, you know what, wait, we're not going forward yet on this. They could have said, we're not going forward yet on any type of Superman, even though we signed you to the deal. They were horrible managers. So if they let him get off by paying him $500 million and they didn't get anything out of it, that's 100% on Warner Brothers management. Yeah. James Gunn needs to blow me. Add the rest of the fucking sentence there, Jeebus. Blow me away with his new plans for DC. Don't be clipping that shit out either. Chappie, tell me, America, I honestly think he's the worst studio executive ever. It took Tim Rothman, made some mistakes in 20th Century, but Tom Rothman, but he didn't hold any grudge. Wow, you're still having a hard time spelling that word. Grudges against anyone. Who knows? Let's see. Free Guy came out the weekend after the Suicide Squad, and it made $51 million opening weekend. And Free Guy was a new IP. The pandemic is that an excuse? I believe that as well. Maybe JJ is pulling a sort of producers type move to work on. Well, he has done stuff for Warner Brothers that is just not high profile shit. Remember, his company's done things with them that so they could be fulfilling it that way. I wouldn't hold my breath for his Superman, though. Guillermo del Toro's Justice League Dark would be awesome. I don't want to see a Justice League Dark until I see a Justice League, though. That's just How you doing, David? Glad to have you. Glad you made it there, buddy. Okay, what's this screen name doing? All right, the reason why Rock should take the L is his movie bombed at the box office. Black Adam's HBO Max release only scores 1.2 million weekend views. Fails to beat Zack Snyder's Justice League. Why the fuck would The Rock take that loss? The Rock owns WB. The Rock owns HBO Max. Did The Rock greenlight the movie? All right, it's his movie, but it's distributed by Warner Brothers. Why did Warner Brothers release it? Why did Warner Brothers delay it when they did? Why did Warner Brothers not promote the movie properly at the first 3 or 4 months of its promotion scale? Why didn't Warner Brothers take a look at the movie if it wasn't as good as they wanted it to be? Why didn't they send it back to the drawing board and say, we need you to change this, this, and this, like other good movies do? All right. Why was his movie, who is a sidekick character to a sidekick character, released when there was no other tentpole movies around to support it? Why would The Rock take the L for that? So you're trying to make The Rock take the L for shit that he had nothing to fucking do with, including the green lighting of his movie, which shouldn't have even happened. So, and once again, you're saying, well, the HBO Max release only scored 1.2 million. All right, for one, you damaged the brand to the point where people just lost interest to you. And you're comparing it to Zack Snyder's Justice League. You know, we realize what we all did to make that happen. And what did Zack Snyder's Justice League have that these other B-list, C-list movies that I just listed, that the people who should be taking the L release? Superman, Batman, The Flash, Martian Manhunter. All right? You're going to compare a movie that had everything that DC is expected to have in a superhero movie to a movie that has a character that a lot of people didn't even know who the hell it was. So, yeah, The Rock shouldn't be taking the L. Right? And if he's taking the L, he's the last goddamn person in the room that should be taking the L. There's a whole bunch of people in line that they should run out of ink to stamp the L's on the heads of the people that will be ahead of The Rock. So sorry, guys, I just don't buy it. All right? Warner Brothers should take the L on that one, first and foremost, and pretty much it. All right? Any problems you had with the quality of The Rock's movie, they were the distributors. They were the ones sitting watching the dailies. They could have said, nope, we're not doing this. They could have said, they could have did, just like with Zaslav, looked at Batgirl and said, this is not our standard. The previous regime could have looked at Black Adam and said, no, this isn't what we want to put out. Who greenlit the budget? Who greenlit the $40, $50 million of reshoots? Was that Dwayne Johnson? No, that was the studio did that. So you should literally run out of ink before you even get to Dwayne Rock Johnson as far as the L goes. And once again, if you give him the L, that means you don't know what winning and losing is. All right? You're just playing the spectator port from the horrible seats in a bad arena. You're at Madison Square Garden trying to watch the Knicks from the runway where the concessions are stand because you can't get in to watch a ticket or watch the game. So sorry. I disagree with that. When Hamada became president of DC Films, why wasn't it his own studio? Hamada directed the crowd because they were disorganized and AT&T didn't care. AT&T was only buying things to funnel things through their telecommunication company, and they didn't have the wherewithal to do it that way. And they didn't have enough regard for DC Studios or DC Comics to do that. To them, it was just a bunch of names. Okay, dude, you're killing your own argument here. I don't know what I should call you, 012. Okay, you're destroying your argument. The Batman had the Batman in it. All right? The Suicide Squad, once again, okay, great, 3.5 million, but it lost money. All right? And Suicide Squad had a full run on HBO Max. Black Adam just got there. Wonder Woman, once again, Wonder Woman, 84. Zack Snyder's Justice League. You just gave me a list of people that everybody knows who the hell they are. And comparing them to a guy who, like I said, when I wear this shirt, the main guy that he's derived from, when I wear this shirt at a Shazam movie, what do I tell you? I get asked all the time and told, that's a cool Flash shirt. All right? So you're comparing a no-name character who should have never been made along with this movie to the Trinity. You are literally comparing them to people who everybody knows and will give you the benefit of the doubt. The average Joe is going to go to a Superman movie, more so than he's going to go to a B character movie. You literally listed the characters that we should have been having. And as far as the Batman goes, guess what? If Ben Affleck would have had a Batman movie, his movie would have done just as well. So if you're going to make the argument that The Rock should take the L, then if he was in a Superman movie and it bombed, maybe. But I'm sorry, you just literally pretty much said what I said in a different way. For you guys, technically an original movie, just with some pop culture references. What the hell? Who is? I don't know who is. I'm just gonna call him 1, 2, 3 or what. I think Warner should take the blame exclusively because the power to say no is always within their hands. All right, so reshoots. Let's say the rumors are true with these reshoots, and we're gonna have to wrap this up here. Let's say Warner, the reshoots are true. Right? Or the budget should the budget for Black Adam have been $185 million? No. Should there be a $60 million reshoot bill? No. Who approved that? The Rock had to go to somebody, and he had to get a yes from that. Who approved making a Black Adam movie when we don't know what the hell is happening with Superman? When you know the expectations of an average DC fan or average moviegoer, when you put an emblem on someone's chest and a cape on them, it better be Superman. They don't know who Black Adam is. All right, most of them don't even know who Shazam. But now we're talking about Lobo and all these other things. All right, it's not The Rock's fault that someone didn't say no and say, no, we're not doing your movie now. We're going to do your movie later on. All right. So, and even beyond that, did The Rock give me polka dot? They built it. Black Adam was a culmination of a whole bunch of shit that he ain't responsible for. Sorry. If you say yes and it's your money, you're the guy. If you say yes to Weasel and whoever the hell Pete Davidson played, and Captain Boomerang, you take that responsibility. And if you say yes to Black Adam, the world doesn't know who he is, even if they have a positive view of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when we're in tight times. That's not enough. These people are buying into big IPs, not stars right now. All right? You said yes. If whoever said yes to any of this shit, that's the guy who gets all the L's. All right? Nobody else gets the L's. Take the L's back from the people you've handed out. Those guys get the L's.
It was me. I okayed that because I like Weasel. Yeah.
All right. And I'm not saying I'm knocking these characters ever happening, but you have to do it in a flow and a context. In order to sell me Polka Dot Man, you got to have sold me Superman already. All right. In order to give me Captain Boomerang, you got to have Batman, and not the Batman, Batman. All right. If you're going to sell me any of these characters, you have to do it through the Trinity. The Trinity is the sun to this solar system. That's how DC works. And trying to compare it to Marvel, that was mistake number one. Did The Rock do that? Did The Rock drive his fucking DC car off the cliff because he was looking at what Marvel was doing? The Rock didn't do that. All right? So before we put the L in The Rock, we literally should be running out of L's. I'm like, oh, the L's are gone. Sorry, I wish I had an L for you, but I gave them all to these guys because they deserved them, and they're the only ones that deserved them. Why was The Rock doing most of those promotions of that movie? Why was The Rock, as a star, great, but Tom Cruise is a star of Mission Impossible, but other people have six-figure jobs to promote that movie and plan that movie and give out better trailers than they got. Did The Rock put the trailer together? And if he did, and even if The Rock did put the trailer together, which he didn't, it has to go through Warner Brothers management. They said yes. All right? The ultimate power is this chief executive officer to say no, and they didn't say no. They said yes to so much bullshit that they should have an L dispenser, like a Pez dispenser, where you just pull back the head and a fucking L comes out and it goes to them. Long before. But The Rock is not in that conversation. I'm sorry. The Rock is not in that conversation. Anthony Manzano, long time no see. William, should we be worried that WWE fans have been coming back to become head of creative again? Or do you insert just as a head of the board to sell the company? I think he wants to cash out. I think that most of the company is going to leave with him in charge anyway. A lot of people have already resigned, so I think he's coming back because as the chief shareholder, he stands to gain the most value off of the sale. Don't feed trolls. I don't want to assume that he's a troll, but he's not. If he was the only person bringing up that argument, I heard this argument all over the internet though, and it just drives me crazy. I'm like, dude, these aren't video games that you guys are playing. These are real life money and real life decisions that are made at way higher up levels than people comprehend sometimes. All right, William Powell, I think man came back to sell to Saudi Arabia because they would give me. I hope not, dear Hunter. I hope not. But hey, it's not like, you know what? Hey, my best wishes are for WWE to become a better product. If somebody buys it, it's going to run it in the ground. I just continue not to watch it. I'm going to change my game and start trolling too. And like I said, it may be a troll. Who knows? I'm going to give him a benefit of doubt, but he's bringing up a question that's been driving me crazy all week, though. So he's not alone in his thought. But a Batpack solo movie? No, I was comparing to what he was putting it as like the Batman. People always make the notion that the Batman proves that a standalone is a better way to go. No, it just proves that the movie that we settled for, because remember that movie was supposed to be Ben Affleck, would have done good numbers. But either way, it's the Batman. You can't compare Batman, period. No matter who's playing him, it's Batman. Black Adam is not Batman. I go out on the street with two pictures, one of Black Adam and one of anybody. Give me any actor playing with that red S. Everybody's going to know what that red S is. They're going to know who Dwayne Johnson is, but they're not going to know what's the bolt on his chest. And that means loss of money sometimes. All right, William, do you think the Trinity for DC Cinematic Universe is all going to be in the mid-20s? At least one of them is going to be in early. I don't know. That's a good question. If he goes to the established canon of the comic book, and I know we had this talk the other day, I think it was The Watcher, because Frank Miller, and he is 100% right. Frank Miller's year one, he's 25. But even Frank Miller said later on that was kind of loose, interpretation, because people don't realize it, because it's not talked about. Batman has a law degree from Yale. So when you do all the adding up of what this was, so say he graduates. Let's say he graduated high school at 17. He goes right into college and takes 4 years. Okay, that puts him at 21. He takes pre-law. So that's another 2 years. Yale's a little bit longer. All right. So even if he doesn't take the bar, become a lawyer, remember he left Gotham for 7 years to go train. So he's 23 at this point, and he leaves Gotham. So when he comes back, Batman's 29, 30 years old, in my opinion. If you go by the established canon, and in Batman, I think our Detective Comics 439, you literally see a Yale certificate of law on his mantle, and it's been shown other places too. So if you add all that, most of those characters are not going to be very young. Obviously, Wonder Woman's and Mobile Amazon. Clark Kent has always been portrayed to me, post-crisis Clark Kent was always portrayed to me as late 20s, early 30s. The Green Lantern's a test pilot, and you have to have so many flying hours and experience in the military, and to even qualify as a test pilot. And most test pilots are 05s, which are in their mid-30s. So even the Green Lantern, most of the characters are already either pushing 30 or late 20s to begin with. So I don't know. I mean, if he goes on that canon, then maybe he can kind of wing it that way. But it all depends on what kind of story he wants to tell too. William Gunn was writing a Superman film for about a year, and it was never going to have Cavill. So if he never got the DC job, would he have still pitched it now? I don't think we would have pitched it, because it wouldn't have gone anywhere. The only way his Superman gets through is if he's running the show. Especially if Abla and DeLucchi, who already pretty much pushed for Cavill to go forward. So there you go. That's the thing. If Ben Affleck didn't do the reshoots, they released Zack Snyder's Justice League in theaters, then we already would have Ben Affleck Batman movie and Justice League Part 2. Or if they hadn't fucked up everything and gotten everybody's way after BVS, the story would already be moot point. We'd already be done. I love seeing William riled up about this stuff because it drives me free, man. Yeah, and like I said, I'm not attacking any particular viewer. It's just a constant theme, that The Rock should take responsibility for the company being fucked up. And the company being fucked up hurt his movie, because there was no management structure in there to tell him yes to the thing they should say yes to and no to the thing they should have said no to. All right. There was no proper management in place, for his movie to have legs, because like I said, if there was proper management in place, guess what? We probably don't have a Black Adam movie or a Shazam movie. We got Superman movies. We got Batman movies. We got Wonder Woman movies. And in between those movies, we got Shazam. We got Black Adam. We got Harley Quinn. All right, because you're earning that brand name loyalty and that brand name trust. They never built that. You can't go to obscure characters when you're DC and you haven't built the brand name of the Trinity first. So The Rock didn't do that. Rational Skeptic, but in an interview from about a year ago, Gunn said he wasn't interested in making. Yeah, because he wasn't. There's a difference between doing something as somebody who's working on a Superman movie. Even if they would told him that you could do whatever you want, it's a difference when you're running the show. It's much different, because now writing Superman means you're writing the center of the universe. So if you're going to start a DC universe, whether you wanted to write one before or not, Superman is the center of the DC universe. And if you're the boss of that universe, then you need to be controlling the center. That's just my opinion. Turns out he lied. Who knows? You mean him not wanting to do it was lie? William, DC should become its own studio once BVS was out. Yeah, DC should have become its own studio when Man of Steel was announced. My opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't blame The Rock for how the current status is of DC. I solely blame Warner Bros. For that. I understand what you're saying, dude, but it's a symbiotic thing. It's like I want to get a nice, clean, napkin out of a dirty, dusty cabinet and hope it comes out clean. That environment that I'm talking about produced this movie. That environment, everything you could say wrong about Black Adam, literally, because like I said, I thought Black Adam's plot was kind of blotchy. I thought the enemy sucked. I thought there was over CGI, and some of the CGI was good. I thought that there were too many characters in the movie, even though I liked the characters. I thought they didn't have enough screen time. All right, I thought the little kid was annoying. No, that by the time that I came to those, conclusions, the movie's already out in front of me. Warner Brothers executives in front of that movie. All right, and before we saw, and like I said, you can't let a guy came to the tail end and try to do something, whether it was for his ego or not. They all have egos, and completely dismissed what is the majority of the problem. Because guess what? Even as crappy as goofy as Black Adam was, I guarantee you, if there's a Superman movie coming out a few months after that, or if there's one that had come out, or if there's a Batman movies on the schedule, or one of the 4 movies that's released are all Trinity, 3 of the 4 movies are Trinity movies, and you decide to release Black Adam and Shazam, I guarantee you those movies make more. I guarantee you, because people are going to give you the benefit of the doubt when you have that thing going on. All right, and they just didn't do it, and that hurt this movie. The state of DC at the time of the production of Black Adam, and any other movie that was under their production by was hurt by that regime. I mean, there are people's projects that got screwed up. There are people's projects that got cut budget. Like I said, it was a mess. But the last guy in the room that I'm giving the L to is The Rock. I mean, I'm sorry. I just can't logically do that when there was so much uphill shit. Are you still there, Thing? There's some so much uphill shit. I don't want to completely shut you out of the show. Oh, sorry. I just want to make sure that you're there.
I'm listening to your rant and enjoying it.
Oh, it's just like I said. I wish people would understand that what goes into not just good decision making, what goes into poor decision making too. And the last 5 years have been how to make poor decisions one after another. So, okay, Warner Brothers has just made so many bad decisions over the years, especially with the old regime, Warner Brothers, and if Ted Turner still, yeah. I mean, going back all the way up to AOL Time Warner, and that's, by the way, why you don't have a WCW, is because the idiot at AOL Time Warner got conned into a bad deal, and they didn't know what they had, and but we had Western on TBS again, so hey, there you go. All right, guys. Okay, so let's see. The Jumper, the Black Adam was successful. If Black Adam was successful, people would still would not have given The Rock credit. They would have said it technically, yeah, they would have come up with those. Because some people just don't like, hey, listen, if you don't like The Rock, that's fine, I guess. I mean, but when you're trying to put corporate blame on one guy who, in my opinion, made me smile because he got me Superman when the other shitheads were trying to bury him, shouldn't even have to fight. In fact, you should have been a guest in his movie, but yeah, there you go. All right, Black Adam was okay. So let's see. Interesting. William Powell, it was 2K would cancel my contract with WWE if they sell it to Saudi. There's a lot of people that might. There's a lot of people that don't like the pay-per-views being over there. So who knows, man? You said Blackface movie would be done as well as I think so. You're talking about Ben Affleck now, an Academy Award-winning filmmaker. Won an Oscar for Best Movie. He's been nominated, and a two-time Oscar Award winner. He won for Best Screenplay for Good Will Hunting. You're talking about a top-tier level, and then he does stuff with Chris Terrio, who is another Oscar Award winner. Now, I love the Batman. I've said it right here on any screen that you've ever seen me on. I don't like Pattin's Batman as much yet. I give that time. but the overall story is the truest Batman story I've seen. But I don't know if Ben Affleck wouldn't have given me a truer one because I never got a chance to see it. But I could be pretty confident that Ben Affleck, I'm thinking of Duck, and like I said, a multiple Academy Award winner who's made movies at the top tier, and knows that character and has played that character and had a script. I've heard that the script was excellent. And you know what? We may get Ben Affleck may get a chance to make his Batman movie. So, but yeah, I think Ben Affleck's Batman would have done as well, if not better. Because to be honest with you, Robert Pattinson had an uphill battle because a lot of people, oh, Twilight guy, is he going to sparkle? All right. Ben Affleck was established in that character, and with the support of other movies and characters around him, I actually think it would have done an 800 million. Not much more than the Batman, but I don't think it would have been less than the Batman. Batman pulled in 790 million, but I think Ben Affleck's star power and the fact that he was in the supporting universe would have given us a good movie. That's my opinion, though. All right, Black Adam was successful. They still not okay. We read that. Larry Kazaki timing because he came in. Yeah, that's literally what it is. Like I said, he's been given the slate to DC and said, I need you to make a universe, and you have to do Superman. As a matter of fact, anybody saying that he shouldn't be directing Superman, I think he should be writing and directing it. I don't think he should be writing and directing all the movies, but that one out the door, the most important one, he's got to be. If it's going to be on his ass, if all this is going to be hanging on him, he needs to be the chef in the most important meal. All right. Yeah, Pattinson's not joining DC. I think Reeves would walk, and his version of the character is not designed to work with other fantastical characters. I love the Batman, by the way. A lot of people knock the Batman and hate the Batman because it wasn't the Ben Affleck Batman what we're supposed to get. But on its own, it is, in my opinion, the best overall Batman movie out. And I've seen them all. I've seen them all on the big screen. It is the truest form of Batman. It is how you are supposed to feel when Batman is lurking in those shadows, terrorizing those fools. All right, that is Batman Year One. That is Frank Miller's David Mazzucchelli. That is Batman to me, more so than any other Batman. Now, Frank Miller's Batman and Ben Affleck plays that Batman. That is my favorite Batman in comic books. So to see Ben Affleck play it as brilliantly as he did, I loved it. And who knows, when I see Ben Affleck's Batman, if it happens, I may love it more than the Batman. But right now, as it stands now, the Batman, I love the Batman. I hope it gets nominated for Best Picture. Because I invest in cinematography. Even if it doesn't win, to me, it's that level of movie. All right, Batman 4.0. All right, well, okay. So what's the comparison being here? Are you talking about on streaming? First of all, where are you getting these? Who are you guys getting these numbers from? Because I mean, we've been waiting for internal numbers for almost a year now. I haven't seen any Samba. Don't go by Samba and all these other ones because Samba is terrestrial TVs. If that's what you're going by, I have yet to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League on a terrestrial TV. It's all been on through Roku and HBO Max direct. So I don't know where the numbers are coming from, but let's say those are true. I don't think so. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League, because it was on 1 million. I was in the first month. I think we crashed the servers. One of those was in the theater. And like I said, even though us nerds know about Zack Snyder's Justice League, we fought the war, we've been in the trenches, the average Joe didn't know what was going on. The Justice League, was that shit can that was released in 2017. But when you release something like The Batman in the movie theaters and then you put it on streaming, you're basically taking a lot of that residual audience. That's if these numbers are true, but 2.2 million for something that never saw the light of day in the theater, even though it should have. I don't know if that's bad or good, but I'd have to see real numbers first. We're gonna have to see some Nielsen numbers, not some of these third, fifth party numbers. But that's just I don't know if I want that. I like AEW, but I don't want a monopoly. If Tony Khan turns into an asshole, I want somebody to be able to go make a living somewhere else and make good money. I don't want it to be like 2001 to 2017 where people ran their bodies into the ground because there was nowhere else to go. So, Yeah, but the Batman was in theater too. Okay, yeah, see, he brings that up. And by the way, guys, I'm not attacking anybody. You guys are bringing up good points. And 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever name you're going by, that attack isn't directly on you. You just are saying the same things I've been hearing, and I just don't agree. I fundamentally do not agree with that blame game. If you want to blame something else on The Rock, but to blame him on DC not being able to be able to get traction on movies, that I cannot blame that on him. All right, guys, it is now 12:28. I am going to get the hell out of here. I will try to read some of your comments and let's hold on. Let me see. Yeah, it's just a matter of semantics, but it's just a lot more detailed, and you actually put out a better argument than some of the other ones I've heard. It's just the fact that everybody just looks at things on the surface, and then it's like, wow, it's not that easy. So I am going to roll everything up here, and I'm about to go home and eat my loaded fries with shrimp. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody. What's up?
Anthony Montano's got a couple of questions before we go.
Where's he at?
There was one at the bottom. I'm rolling back.
I understand why people would want Ben Affleck back as Batman, but I would rather Ben direct the new Batman and movie in DC. I'll take that. One of the great filmmakers in our generation. I'll take it. What was the other one?
He said, for me, the sole blame is on Warner Brothers because they railed in Rock's ability to promote as a wrestler to bring in people to do that movie. Maybe.
Yeah. And, that's where I am at. So, all right, guys, thank you for being here. We pretty much kept a solid amount of people in here the whole night. So, I will see you guys tomorrow night or Monday. It all depends on what Enosh has going on, because if he's streaming, I won't be, because it's his channel.
Be safe and don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Yeah, and continue to have a great 2023. Bye, guys.
Goodbye. Good night.
All right, I've been forgetting to do my outro. Damn it! Here we go.
All right, man. Go eat your fries.
I got to end the broadcast. I didn't do it. Hey, you know what, guys? Since I didn't probably end the broadcast, let's watch this. Last night, that led to a 2-hour serial killer conversation. Right, now I'm going to end the show. Huh? You want to do a part? Listen, I don't think it's a good idea that we ever do it again, but if we do, I'm sending you a link. All right, bye, everybody.